Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to RCI TV. And we're here for round 3 of the RCI Endurance World Tour. We're here at Donington Park for 3 hours of exciting racing for the Invitational Pro and Silver classes. My name is Ryan Gill. I'll be walking you through all of the action here this evening, and alongside me for the 3 hours today is going to be everyone's favorite American, as I always call him. It's everyone's Jesse Lee.
Well, hello there, Ryan. Hello, everybody out there at RCI TV. Yes, it's Saturday. Yes, it is me. But no, this is not Night Owl. This is very much the third round of the World Tour. And we are glad to be able to present that with you today. And I don't know, Ryan, that was a big sort of intro there. Favorite American, I'm not sure that exists. But what do we have on tap for you today? Well, like I said, the third round of the World Tour, and we are live here at Donington Park.
Yeah, of course, we're here in the county of Leicestershire with a Derby postcode, but close to Nottingham. This circuit well and truly is in the Midlands. And, of course, Donington Park, brand new to ACC with the British GT DLC, and it's fantastic to be here for round 3 of the World Tour. 3 hours of action, as we mentioned earlier, and all of these guys, well, they've been preparing for an exciting race out here today. You can see it's light out at the moment as we come towards the end of practice. Well, it's going to be getting dark again very, very soon. The race will be starting at around about 5 a.m. And, well, hopefully we'll be able to get a lovely, lovely sunrise during the race. 6 a.m., sorry, I've just been corrected. But it's going to be a sunrise about half an hour into the race if the rain doesn't come over, and that is one of the risks here today. Rain is in the air, very much like it was at Kyalami. I think there's a much lower chance of rain here today, Jesse, but it's still a factor that all of these guys are going to have to consider, and, well, after Kyalami, some of them will be wishing that the rain doesn't come back.
Yeah, well, very much so. Some of them will be hoping that it does. Some drivers and teams benefited greatly from the wet weather during the 24, but alas, right now it remains very cloudy, very British, but without the sprinkling of rain. That is still, of course, a very big possibility, but I think what you and I were talking about pre-race is that we're definitely hoping for a beautiful sunrise over the UK today. A personal favorite track of mine, for those of you that were with us for the introductory event after the British GT pack came out, you will have noticed that I am a huge fan of this, and so is Ryan Gill. And, well, I think more than anything, we should take this little bit of time to talk about the 191 team. They have dominated this championship. They virtually lived on the podium.
They have. They've done an absolutely fantastic job so far in this championship, the 191, and, of course, they are the team that lead the championship. If I'm not mistaken, we'll be able to see the standings a bit later on. And there it is, the 191 Ferrari, the Racing Line Motorsport team. I mean, we were talking not so long ago about truly elite teams in ACC. Well, Racing Line Motorsport is one of them. Haven't quite picked up a win this season. Of course, it was PCDC that picked up the win in round 1, and then Sidemax Motorworks picked up the win in round 2 for the 24 hours of Kyalami. But Racing Line Motorsport, they finished on the podium in 2 occasions, and of course they have the lead of the championship as such, and they're going to be looking here tonight for another very good result. We had a BOP update literally about 40 hours before this race was scheduled to go ahead. So some people are happy, some people are not so happy. But as we come towards the end of practice, it is the number 10 Mercedes that stands at the top of the timing sheets. We've got the like and subscribe team, number 56 here, of Igor Ogorodnikov in second towards the end of practice. And then, of course, the winners from Silverstone, Vincent Erbrich for PCDC, sitting third towards the end of practice. 3 different manufacturers in the top 3 as we proceed to a very, very dark qualifying. It's 6 in the morning around here at Donington Park. 9 degrees ambient, 9 degrees on track. There is no rain. And we're all ready to go out for some hot lap action under the lights.
Hot lap at high speed and for high stakes, folks. Of course, this is the top of the top. These are the best drivers, pro and silver, in the World Tour, and they are out here for 20 minutes for qualifying. They will have to find space. They will have to make lap time around here, and there's a lot of time to be lost in some of these blind corners, and just going off the track can invalidate your lap. It's all very important to get it right and to get in that banker lap. You do have a bit of time here in this session. Very cold, in fact, 9 degrees C, no wind, completely cloudy, and just a bit of light, just enough to see. And it will be very easy to invalidate your lap indeed, but nevertheless, qualifying is a go as everybody sets out on their first sighting lap before they start to run the quick laps. Very curious to see what they will be able to run as far as times go, Ryan, since it is so cold.
Well, we're going to be able to see what the championship leaders can do as they will start the qualifying session for the third round of the World Tour. Here comes Marek Shins down towards turn 1, red gate. Nice and late on the brakes, turn the car in early, don't get on the inside AstroTurf, it will unstabilize the car, then flat through Hollywood and down through the Craner curves as well. Make your way towards the old hairpin. Look for the marker on the right. Just brake about there. Turn in nice and early. Maximize how much you can cut the corner and on the exit as well. Go past Starkey's Bridge and up through Schwantz Curve. You'll make your way towards McLean's. Got to be nice and tight on the inside here. Don't hit the bump on the inside. Maximize the exit. Then you'll head towards Coppice. Blind crest as you come to the braking point. Get the car turned in, power down nice and early as you come on to the back straight. You'll now make your way down towards the Fogarty S's. Incredibly fast chicane. You've got to brake really, really late here after the 100-meter board. Cut as much of the inside and the exit of the chicane as you dare. Keep it on the track, though. Down towards the Melbourne Loop. 2 hairpins to end the lap. Nice and late on the brakes. Get the car turned in early. Nice rotation from the Ferrari as well. And now Marek Shins makes his way up towards the final corner. Goddard's just slight decline as you go out and on the power. Nice and wide on the curves as well. Up towards the timing line. And Marek Shins, it's a 1:26.2 to start the session. That's a good banker lap to put down. No one being able to beat that on the first round from the first few cars we had come across. Wolf Matuszka and Jaroslav Honzik, the closest coming at this point in time. A few drivers struggling, but Fulvio Barazzini in the Bentley of all things puts only 45 thousandths off provisional pole.
Absolutely fantastic stuff to start this session. Everybody in that ballpark is pretty much what we expect. We expect you to be well within a certain amount of time, and I think we have the possibility to put 20 plus cars under 1 second here today. I think you will see that indeed. 16 minutes left to play. Everybody on their second lap now. Hartveld in the 34 GTWR Lamborghini goes to provisional pole. A 26.118 now the mark to beat, putting Shins back to second place, nearly 1/10 and a little more off of the pace. And just as we say that, the 123 Lexus of Mike Noble for FFS Racing goes to the pole, a 26.109. Quick lap time. Shins goes back to the top of the board, 25. The first 25 is up 25.968. The quickest lap so far, and the times continue to tumble.
They do continue to tumble, but only one car in the 25s at this point in time, and it is the championship leaders, the 191, but it's 2 Ferraris on the front row of the grid as it stands at this point in time. The top 12 covered by 1 second at this stage. A few of these guys out here struggling, it would seem. The 199 about 1.7 seconds down, and I believe the 194, one of the other Racing Line Motorsport entries, struggling as well. They're 3.7 seconds off the pace so far, but still just under 15 minutes of qualifying remaining. Plenty of time to fix up your lap times and improve. We're currently looking at Vincent Erbridge sitting 6th place at the moment. The winners from Silverstone, they're 0.2 of a second up on their lap time, or they were. They just made a bit of a mistake. Oh no, they've actually gained some more time. So Vincent Erbridge comes into the final corner. He's going to be up by almost 0.3 of a second now, going to gain even more through the final corner. Here comes the beast
here we go.
Motorsport McLaren over the line, and it is provisional pole. Another driver, another team throws themselves onto the front row. Ogorotnikov had taken it back just a moment ago. And we've got a McLaren and an Aston Martin provisionally on the front row at this point in time. But how much more will it change in the next 14 minutes?
Well, I can tell you for PCDC, that was pretty much what you need. They are the team, the number 12 McLaren team, that is chasing this team, currently piloted by Merritt Shins for the Racing Line 191 Ferrari. So these are the two top teams in the championship. A bit of work to do for PCDC, but nothing they can't handle. So a lot of laps, a lot of points in this championship, this just being the 3rd round. And it is looking like a duel between the two of them. And ladies and gentlemen, Merrick Shins is not backing down. He is up he is up by a ton. A few turns to go. That turn not very good for him, and that is going to lose him a bit of time. Still up though, he has the opportunity. He has about 1.5 to 2/10 in the bag. What's it gonna be for Merrick Shins for Racing Line Motorsport? 1 turn, Goddard's to go. Coming to the line, is it going to be enough? I think it might be. It's going to be close, folks, as he comes to the line, and he does it. He gets it done. Merrick Shins, a 25.767, retakes provisional pole.
Well, retakes provisional pole, but a slight scare there for one of the Aston Martins coming over the grid. Definitely did not expect Merrick Shins to just stop on track after hitting the line. We have live stewards here today, and, well, they might investigate that. So Merrick Shins takes the provisional pole, but that might not be the case for much longer. Speaking of taking provisional pole so far in the silver class here today. Well, that's going out for Triple R at this point in time. The 333 McLaren has put themselves onto the front row of the overall grid. Fantastic lap from Harry Conway. The McLaren is good around here, but 36 thousandths of a second off of the overall pole time. Fantastic lap from Harry Conway, but still, with 12 minutes left, Wolf Matuszka.
Oh no!
Forced to abort the lap.
Wolf was on a brilliant lap. He was up 2.5 to 3/10 and had to bail on it. So that is not going to be great for the 25 Peak Performance team.
Yeah, that's not great for Wolf Matuszka. They sit 6th at the moment provisionally in qualifying. Going to have to see if they can improve on that time at all. Igor Ogorotnikov, he's going around at the moment, not currently up on his lap time as he goes off. And that'll be the end of his flying lap. Returns to the garage. Here is Chris Hartveld in the GTWR Lamborghini. We've seen this car find its way all over the grid at the 24 Hours of Kyalami. They even led the race at one point in time, but then struggled thereafter, struggling on this qualifying lap, it would seem, as well. Going slightly wide, and that looks like their time is going to be invalidated, so they're going to have to try and go again. And at this point in time, nobody seems to be concerning the likes of Marek Shins. The closest to concerning Marek Shins is number 10 at this stage. Slightly up on their lap time at the moment is the Mercedes, but not going to be enough, I don't think, to take away a provisional pole. And they're going to return to the pit lane. Clearly don't think they can finish up that lap time. So the 191 remains provisional pole. We are halfway through the qualifying session here before the start of the race. We're looking at the number 11. We were looking at the number 11, but here is the number 39. It's the Jardier community team, Jaroslav Honzik in that car. They sit 9th at this point in time. They were on the front row of the grid after the first round of laps. What can they do from here?
Well, I'll tell you what they won't be doing is they will not be improving on this lap, I don't think. I think they lost a bunch of time into the S's. Unless they pick up here in Goddard's, I don't think they will be improving. But we have seen the timing screen lie to us before. We'll have to see when they get to the line, and indeed, not an improvement at all. Was looking good in Sector 1, but lost a bunch of time. But that's okay. You can fix that here in 10 minutes of qualifying. If you had a great first sector and a bad second or third sector, well, it's easier said than done, isn't it, Ryan Gill? But it is as simple as just making sure that whatever mistake you're doing, that you don't do it again, and you will, hopefully speaking, still have that time gain. Most of the top 10 have been into the pit lane and reset, perhaps got a new set of tires, made minor adjustments, and have reset and rejoined the racetrack. Here is the leading silver driver, Harry Conway, with Triple R in the 333. Couldn't say that again if I needed to. The quickest silver driver, but also up on the podium. And, well, you can also notice very obviously from the top right corner of your screen that the grip levels are improving, and that means the times are going to continue to come down. Ryan Gill, I'll give you $1 if you allow me to be the last car on a flying lap in this session.
Yeah, you definitely want to be the last one out on track as the conditions continue to improve. Harry Conway starts another lap, clearly doesn't feel that the time he's got at this point in time is going to be enough to keep that silver provisional pole position. Of course, the car directly competing with them for that pole position start in the silver class is going to be Milton Steele-Vason's team, the MSV Racing Aston Martin, that finds himself just ahead of them on track here. You can see the Triple R McLaren behind in the background. This car currently, I don't think, yes, they are slightly up on their lap time, not by much though, practically breaking even. Igor Ogorodnikov, by the way, he's up on his lap time, having just started coming through the first sector now. About a tenth of a second up on where they were. We'll go on board though with Harry Conway as we come into the Fogarty S's. Nice and quick, getting the car turned in, straight line the chicane as much as you can. And down towards the Melbourne Loop, Harry Conway goes. Doesn't find himself up on his lap time at the moment, but here comes PCDC, and Vincent Urbridge is going to retake provisional pole. It's a 125.626. The track conditions optimum. This is where all the fastest times are going to start to come out, Jesse. And speaking of which, there are a number of drivers up on their times at the moment. Ogorodnikov, one of those drivers in particular, a 10th up on their lap time at the moment. It wouldn't be enough to send them provisional pole unless they can improve, but they can definitely throw their car onto the second row of the grid. Do they get a good exit out the final corner? Loses a bit of time, comes up towards the timing line, will improve, but not enough to jump up into the second row of the grid.
One last reset for Ogorodnikov, and he will get one more shot at glory here today. Not a bad starting spot in the top 5, but with the track constantly improving, like you said, all the way up to optimum, it is possible to gain still. Like I said, I would pay you a large sum of money to be the car that gets the last timed lap. You will be the car that has the most grip in this situation. Martin Schumacher in the 411 coming across the line. A great lap, goes from 19th to 10th with a 25.935. That is 0.3 off the lead and all the way down in 10th place. And folks, just look at your timing screen here on the left of your television set. That is 23 drivers within 3/4 of a second. I think we have about 30 within a second of one another. Welcome to the invite and the alien split, ladies and gentlemen. This is what we come to expect. Triple R all the way down into fourth place now. Were second earlier. They need to pick up some pace, near about 2/10, in fact, to get that position back. Alexander Karsten for 2SRL now in the third place position. Shins in the second place position now. And Al Baldeo Caymans in the fifth place, knocking Ognarodikov back down to the sixth place. Still Vason seventh now, and Wolf Matushka all the way down in eighth right now. Everything going on here late in this session, and a lot of people trending green.
I was about to comment on the fact that Jaroslav Honzik's team, the Jardier community team, were down in 16th place, but they've just improved up to 5th overall. Identical lap time to the Triple R McLaren, but of course, Harry Conway, he set that lap earlier in the session. He gets priority position. So he is 4th. Jardier getting their car up into 5th, but no longer 5th. Leo Hirvonen for Team Zero Bad Luck places their car onto the front row of the grid alongside Vincent Urbridge, just over a 10th of a second behind the provisional pole lap. But Leo Hirvonen, he's bringing it out towards the end of the session now. This is where all the fastest times start coming together. We have 28 drivers within 1 second of each other at this point in time, and we have 2 teams that are yet to set a valid lap in qualifying. They don't have too much longer to get out there and get a lap on the board. A lap is always better than no lap, Jesse, because it could put you a few places higher than the back of the grid, and, well, at a circuit like this, you don't really want to be starting all the way at the back.
You definitely don't, and Mike Noble is going to come across the line here. He is trending in the right direction. Lost a little bit coming through Goddard's and will be 7th place, so still gains about 7 positions for FFS Racing's Mike Noble. Puts him back inside the top 10. Lap times trending in the right direction for a ton of the top 15 cars, as you would expect with the track constantly improving. Incredibly close stuff, all things considered. What can still Vason do? As he is trending in the right direction, he may gain a spot or 2. Currently 10th for the MSV, gets a spot up to 9th place. 25.848 for still Vason, but I don't think he is safe inside the top 10. Of course, Mike Noble, who just started another lap, is actually flying through Sector 1. Actually, excuse me, he's in Sector 2 already. Very quick racetrack indeed. And he is coming across to 2/10 quicker, 2/10 up on his lap. This is going to be close if he can continue this momentum. In fact, gains more through the hairpin. He's 3/10 up, is Mike Noble, coming to the final corner. Not to mess it up now. Looking very good for the FFS Racing Lexus in the 1-2-3. He's got all the time. Coming to the line, provisional pole, Mike Noble, a 25.473.
Mike Noble in the Lexus comes out clutch when he needs it. And fantastic lap from him. 125.4 to put that Lexus on provisional pole. Here is Leo Hirvonen. He finds himself 0.2 of a second up on his lap time. He will come up towards the timing line now. This doesn't look to be enough for provisional pole. It isn't. It will send him 3rd on the 2nd row of the grid. He's going to stop. That's going to be the end of his qualifying session. Meanwhile, Milton Stilvason, their car is up onto the front row of the grid as a silver entry within 1/10 of a second of Mike Noble's lap time. The Odox Motorsport number 10 throws their Mercedes back up to 6th place. Darren King for the Dorking community team. They're in 16th place at this point in time. Orion Race Team. We're not used to seeing them this far down the order. They're in 14th place, but they're up on their time at the moment. Comes over, goes 8th for the 1-2-6. They put themselves back in the top 10. But here comes Ogorodnikov, 0.2 of a second up. This could be it. This could be pole position lap. Some of the drivers, some of the teams retreating to the pit lane. Their qualifying session is done for the day. But here comes Ogorodnikov. Is this going to be provisional pole? No, it isn't.
Oh, Ryan, they invalidated their lap. They were on pole pace. That could have been the pole lap, folks, for Ogorodnikov, but the lap was invalidated in Sector 3 coming to the line. Heartbreaking for them. They will not get another lap. Qualifying is coming to an end. All flying laps count. And all of these laps, any of these bullets in the shape of race cars could be pole position as Hartveld goes ahead and hits the eject button at the end of that lap. It wasn't trending in the right direction. What can PCDC Motorsports do? Coming to the line, a little bit of a tow. And for PCDC Motorsports, it is provisional pole, a 25.464. Barely out qualifying FFS Racing by, 9 thousandths of a second, as some drivers coming to the line. I think everybody is home, and that is going to be it. And like I was joking about, the last car on the road took the pole.
Vincent Erbrich for PCDC doing exactly what they needed to do today if their aim is to retake the lead of the championship like they had out at Silverstone. And my word, 9 thousandths of a second between the two cars on the front row of the grid. They can't get much closer than that for the start of the race. And it's going to be absolutely fantastic to see. You can see the qualifying results on screen at this point in time. Vincent Erbrich, of course, taking pole from the likes of Mike Noble. Scroll down through the rest of the teams here. A few pro teams caught up in the midst of a lot of the silver cars as well. And yep, a few cars down there that have not been able to set a valid lap. So a few of those guys going to have to start at the back of the grid. Not ideal for them. But look at this. All three personal best sectors, or session best sectors, should I say, were from three completely different cars. And how fantastic is that? Mercedes quickest in Sector 1, Bentley quickest in Sector 2, and McLaren quickest in Sector 3. And all of that means that we have a fantastic race lined up for you this year. But before we get into all of the action on track, we do have the championship standings to run through you. We did say we'd have a little bit of a look and see what's going on in the championship standings. So without further ado, here we go then. World Tour Invitational split. These are the pros. Racing Line Motorsport 191 at the top, 434 points, in the Ferrari. PCDC Motorsports, they're in second. They plan to retake that lead at this stage today. And then the Coach Dave Academy nearly on pace team. They're also going to be hoping for a much better result this time around than they've had in the first two rounds in the Bentley. Dorking Community Team not having a great qualifying, down in 16th today for the start of the race. They're fourth in the championship. And then, of course, the winners from the 24 Hours of Kaya Lamy, Side Max Motorworks in the 96. And I believe they've placed themselves 13th for the start of this race. Orion Race Team in 6th, 272 points. Jardia Community Team with 269. The Renwelton Pro Team, 260. Team Zero Bad Luck with 256. And Odox Motorsport round out the top 10 with 254. Moving on to page 2, GTWR Racing Team with 254 points. They're in 11th place. Like and subscribe team, who had a very, very strong start out at Kaya Lamy, but petered off a bit towards the end. They've got 12th place locked down. FFS Racing, who are on the front row of the grid this evening, are in 13th place. The Pink Performance Team in 14th, and H3 Racing of 170 points in 15th place. The other Racing Line Motorsport car finds itself 16th in the championship at this point in time. Graphax Engineering just behind them by 2 points. THR Esports, unfortunately, out of the championship. They've resigned and OVRC and Butler Powell Motorsport 557 round out the top 20. I believe the 557 is no longer in the championship either, but the bottom 4 teams in the Pro Class, ODB Racing, followed by TFC ART Esports, the Sidemax Motorworks number 95 car, which has had a torrid time in the first 2 races so far this season, and SRC Sim Racing Champions Pro in the Lexus towards the bottom. I believe they have also signed out of this championship. Moving on to the silver cars then, pole position racing, 462 points at the top of the table. I don't believe they're present here today. Butler Powell Motorsport right behind them though, 444 points. MSVR Racing, 962 with 420 points, followed by the first of the GC Racing cars, and then Connection Lost Racing in the Ferrari as well. Open Visor Racing Club 777 have XL Racing right behind them. Triple R, who showed a fantastic results towards the start of the qualifying session. They've ended up 11th in the overall qualifying. They're going to be looking to improve on that. Cryonics Racing in 9th place, and OTL Racing as well. They're rounding out the top 10 of the silver class. The rest of the silver class, well, it's the second GC Racing car, followed by the Green Lofas Engineering car, Jardia Community Team 2, and then the 2 SRL Esports Team Red Team. The second PCDC car competing in the silver split, I think they might have signed out of the race. Sims and Riggs are followed by 300 Ping Motorsport. And then it's the third Butler Powell Motorsport car, 555, with only 89 points to their name.
Well, there you have it. The championship points for both the pro and silver classes that you will see here today. And I know some of you are likely thinking, well, why are some of the silver drivers, especially Stilvason, up in the podium position? Well, the difference between a pro team and a silver team is the strength of some of the teammates. Some of the teammates of a silver driver or a silver team may not be pro worthy or maybe sort of on the borderline. And you will see that in the race as they all filter through. All teams here are supposed to have 3 driver changes throughout the race. And I'm being told that that is not the case for 1 or 2 cars on the grid, but they have chosen to take part anyway, and they will get a penalty for violation of those rules, but that'll be a little consequence to them. They want to go racing.
Yep, and of course, the required rules of 3 drivers per team that everyone has to stick to means that unfortunately they will be serving that penalty. Having a look down the grid though, we've got Vincent Erbridge, the number 12 PCDC Motorsport car, with the 123 Lexus of Mike Noble alongside those lovely, lovely purple rims that I'm sure everyone is
Mike Jones did that on purpose.
He definitely did. He definitely did that on purpose. Then we got the 962 with Stilvason in the Aston Martin. Oh, Mike wants to have another look at the rims. We got the 962 Aston Martin, 2 Aston Martins on the second row of the grid. Like and subscribe team number 56 there as well. Then it's the championship leaders on the third row of the grid, the 191, and they have Leo Hervenen alongside them in the 247, the Team Zero Bad Luck. That name not coming back to bite them just yet in the championship. Maybe it'll work as an anti-curse for them over the course of this season. Then we have the second silver car on the grid, the 2 SRL Esports car. They've got the Odox Motorsport Mercedes alongside them, so all Mercedes 4th row of the grid. And rounding out the top 10, it's Fulvio Barazzini in the Orion Race Team Bentley, the 126, and Chris Hartveld in the 34 Lamborghini. The rest of the grid, well, it's Harry Conway, followed by Jaroslav Honzik. George Boothby lines up alongside Wolf Matuszka, Martin Schumacher, and Darren King. Then it's Wansink and Cairns. I believe that is Jordan Wansink and Sam Cairns. Martin Schwinderek and David Mitchell, all the way back. The Renwilton car back in 20th place. Sebastian Brunier for OVRC and William Hendrickson in the number 11 Bentley. Wilmoth in 23rd place. He has Mikael Sundstrom alongside the CDA nearly on pace car all the way down in 24th. Horrible qualifying session for them. And they're going to be hoping for a lot better come at the start of the race. Johannes Weiss and Akos Getvan follow up in 25th and 26th. 27th is Eric Engman, followed by Michael Muthen and Taha Mali in the 409. Bart Matcher for the Connection Lost Racing team sits with his 404 to round out the top 30. The Jardia Community Team 2 car has Mike Williams in it, and then he's got Philip Matzik alongside him, 32nd on the grid. Mark Whitford for the OVRC 199 car, the pro car, qualifying behind the silver car for them. The IDA Pro Esports team find themselves 34th. OTL Racing 35th on the grid. And Jurej Švenček in 36th place. GC Racing, number 2 GC Racing, find themselves in 37th. And then I believe it is eBay Arta at the back of the grid. You can see our Jaguar safety car there, formed up on the grid. That'll be returning to the pit lane immediately. But the safety car here today, hopefully we won't need to use it, Jesse. But if we do, the 513 safety car is here and it is ready and waiting to go. And just as I say that, it returns to the pit lane as Vincent Ebrich pulls away from the start line and gets ready for the formation lap for the start of the 3 hours of Donington.
Well, Ryan, you were talking about the nearly on pace team being 24th on the grid. Well, 24th on the grid today, folks, is 3/4 of a second off of pole. What does that mean? Well, in a normal race, if you are 3/4 off the pace, you could possibly and probably are still looking at somewhere near a top 10 spot. What's different today? Well, this is the Invitational split, and half these drivers showed up in UFOs at the adjacent airport here at Donington today. And that is what the difference is. And you heard Ryan Gill talk about the pace car. Yes, we do have a pace car. Yes, it is a Jaguar. And yes, we will deploy it if there is chaos on the opening laps. We'll have everybody form up behind the pace car and clean up the mess and continue. And that is something that I think we only do at the start of the race. Once the start of the race is deemed clean or clean enough, barring a few minor fender benders, the race will continue as planned. 3 hours here today at Donington, 6:30 a.m. as the cars round the back straightaway, and truly one of the only straightaways in racing that is in fact fairly straight. I'll never forget when they removed the Dunlop bridge that used to sit right about where Vincent Erbich is right now. But either way, they will go down through the S's, the hairpin, and Goddards form up 2 by 2, literally as far as the eye can see today. And we will go racing. Top 30 teams all within 1 second of pole position today. It's going to be a hotly contested race. And Ryan Gill, I have to ask very quickly before we go green, and yes, this is an ambush, who's your pick to win today?
Oh, it's going to be interesting. Whoever I pick is definitely going to get jinxed, as they were at the 24 Hours of Kyle Army. I thought the Bentleys would look pretty good, and well, they were a bit disappointing. So, with that in mind, I guess if we're going to make the championship interesting, and I'm going to curse whoever it is that's going to be picked, I'm going to pick Vincent Ibrich. I don't want them to just retake the lead of the championship so easily. They're going to have to work for it here today. Mike Noble is going to make sure that they have to work for it here today as well. But here we go then. Round the final corner, like Jesse said, 2 by 2, as far as the eye can see, up towards the timing line for the start of 3 hours of racing around Donington Park, and we are live. Vincent Ebrich gets a good start down towards turn 1. Mike Noble going to be on the outside line. The McLaren covers the inside, not going to let the Lexus have a look around the outside, and it's a very, very clean start for for the two out in front. I think we've had a spinner towards the back of the grid. One car starting from the pit lane, but we've got a car off. That's the 2 SRL Esports Mercedes at this point in time, and that's Marek Shins in the 191 being forced off the track, as well as Harry Conway's gone wide.
Oh, it's going to be a melee. They're going to be 3 and 4 wide. This is not a part of the track that you want to be anywhere, and there's a car completely off going up the hill now. Another car spins off, a red AMG, and that is Samir Ibrahimi, the Lamborghini that we saw spinning off. Is going to get it all sorted. Several small incidents that continue to ripple throughout the field, as so much as it usually happens. When it happens at the front, it comes down through the field. That is what's happened here. Everybody has got it righted and gone the right way, but damage on several cars, including the 191. Now, did I just see Wolf Matushka spin? I think I might have seen Wolf Matushka spin, but either way, they are clear. Yes, indeed, Wolf Matushka did take a spin here. What exactly happened to the 25 Peak Performance car? Oh, he got squeezed.
I think this is after. I think this is after.
Oh, that is after. That is indeed after the incident. But for the leaders, they got away cleanly. But one car slow in the middle, or excuse me, at the end of the front of the pack there, and it caused a ripple effect through the entire field. And you saw that play out on that first lap there. It looks like everybody got away with it. No safety car was deployed, and everybody's away. But for the 191 and for Samir Ibrahimi and his team, that was catastrophic.
Yeah, the 249 Lamborghini, the Renwelton car, not having a great start, and another car that's misery just continues in this championship, the 95 car, Sam Kens for the Sidemax Motorworks, the second Sidemax Motorworks car. That car got caught up in that incident as well, so they're right towards the back of the grid. But out in front, Vincent Erbridge did lead across the first lap, but Mike Noble going to keep him in check as well. And you can see the silver car of Milton Steele-Vason just in behind as well. Steele-Vason won in British GT, one of the races around here at Donington Park. So plenty of experience for that Aston Martin around here, but of course he'll be sharing the car today with some other drivers, so got to make up as much time as you can. Andrea Benedetti in 9th place at the moment for the number 34, the GTWR Lamborghini. Not having the greatest start for their race at this point in time. As we look further onwards and we wait to see what will become of some of the incidents that happened further towards the start of this race. The Renwelton car caught up, the 95 car of Sidemax Motorworks caught up as well. I believe one of the Butler Powell cars was also involved in that incident, so there's going to be a few investigations going on early in this race as to what potential penalties could be coming on out later on. But on the overall, just a couple of cars involved in first lap incidents. It's been cleaner than Silverstone was.
Yeah, Silverstone through Maggots and Beckett's was a bit of a, how you would say, a dog's dinner. And it was a bit all over the place. A little bit better here. And look what happened to Mike Noble there. Mike Noble having to take evasive action, getting onto the curb through the S's. And that's going to be position gain for Milton Steele-Vason. Look at this, doesn't want to go all the way off. He does go all the way off, in fact, has to decrease speed and get back on the racing surface before the hairpin. And Steele-Vason, the silver team, the MSV Racing 962 Aston, up into second place, and they can still see the leader. Now, Ryan, there is nothing in the rule book that says, or doesn't say, should I say, that a silver team cannot win overall. They are allowed to race each other. They are allowed to race for position. I just think when some of the less speedy drivers, because we know how fast Steele-Vason is, when some of the less speedy drivers in the 962 get in there, I feel like they are going to struggle with the pro teams that have a completely pro lineup.
Definitely so. We could see the 962 slow down later on in the race, but Steele-Vason is going to look to make the most of what he can at this point in time. He knows he's quick around here. He knows he has pace. And what better to do than put as many pro cars between you and your competitors as possible. Currently looking at Alexander Carsten. Had a bit of a nightmare in the Friday championship races at Misano yesterday in the Bentley, but completely different track, completely different championship, completely new day. Doesn't have to worry about the mistakes he made on that night, just needs to be patient and bide his time. He's second, of course, in the silver split at this point. He doesn't have to push too much to try and get past any of these guys. They won't count for points positions. It will count towards the overall position in the race, but there are no points going on for that. Darren King, by the way, looking to go side by side with Jardier through the final corner. And Darren King, who didn't have a great qualifying session, finding himself in a really, really good spot at this point in time. Had a little look for turn one, but thought better of it. And Jardier was probably thinking, I'm glad you thought better of it.
Oh, Darren King looking like he's trying to take a penalty on a pitch somewhere with that fake maneuver. I thought he was going for it. He fooled me, and I'm not even in the car. But Jardier didn't even flinch, didn't even think about that he was going to make that move. But that is very much Darren King. We saw Darren King just 24 hours ago on the Friday GT3 Championship do very similar moves, making his way up through the field, and King doing pretty much the same thing, reverting to type here in the World Championship on Saturday. These two guys right here, 7th and 8th, Jardier and Darren King, they are really fast, alien-level racing drivers. Darren King does hit the dirt there. That might be a track limits warning. You got to be careful. You only get 3 of those before you start getting drive-through penalties assessed to you by the sim. But like I was saying, Jardier and Darren King, they're alien level racers, and they just love to get out here and compete. And well, again, less than 24 hours from their previous race, they're out here for 3 hours in a completely different sort of event. So that pretty much tells you everything you need to know about the top echelon of competition. As here's Agorodnikov now. He's trying to track down Noble in the 3rd place position.
Yeah, no, Gorodnikov, the number 56 like and subscribe team, had a lot of support coming out in the chat about a month ago for Kyle Army. But I tell you what, they've got company as well, because there is the 126 Fulvio Barazzini in the Orion Race Team Bentley at this point in time. We were told, oh, you know, the Bentley's not that great around here. And then the BOP update dropped yesterday. And then they're like, okay, well, the Bentley's a bit better around here. And, well, Fulvio Barazzini has just come out and he said, I don't care what you guys think. I'm going to go race this car, and it's going to be quick here, whether you like it or not. And he's out in 5th place at this point in time. And he's looking at the back of that Aston Martin. And he's quite keen as well to place that Bentley in front of the Aston Martin on home soil.
Oh, taking a look.
And compared to some of the other Bentleys in the grid, I mean, they're doing incredibly well, up in 5th place compared to 19th and 21st for the number 11 and 899 Bentleys. Those cars struggling significantly, so I wonder if there's something that the 126 team know that maybe the others don't.
Well, this is interesting, and a little bit of insider information for you. Our press box is right beside the head steward's office up here at Donington, and I just saw Mikael Sundstrom, who is a driver for the 899 team. James Parker currently in that car right now. They're down in 21st place. I just saw Mikael Sundstrom go into Stephen DeVos' office. He's the what do you call the race controller, in fact, here today, and he did not look happy, did Mikael Sundstrom. This would be very interesting to see how that conversation panned out. And I can also hear the stewards. They are very, very busy indeed. And of course, we had several little incidents, Ryan, on that first lap. And here at RCI, the stewards, and the drivers know this, the stewards judge lap 1 incidences nearly twice as harshly as they normally would, and in my opinion, rightly so, as we continue to see the battles through the field. Darren King still trying to figure out how to get around Jardier. Jardier still trying to get around the 247.
Yeah, Yeah, Jardier still having a look at the back of Matt Kennedy, seeing if he can find a way through on the Team Zero Bad Luck McLaren. And apparently we've had an incident with the 514. This is David Migzorn. And what's happened down here towards the Melbourne Loop? Oh, there goes the 557. And that's not going to do them any favors with the stewards. So there's going to be an investigation. There's going to be an investigation into that one. Obviously, we don't know the full story of what's happened with that incident. And
oh no, big hit.
And that's a coming together. The 56 and the 123. What happened here? Just coming right up to the back. They come up towards Coppice. Blind braking zone as you come to the crest. Just tap on the inside, then taps again. Oh dear. And well, both of them lose a place to the 126 Orion Race Team Bentley. They're going to say thank you very much. In the background, there goes Jardier on the inside of the Team Zero Bad Luck McLaren. Here comes Darren King on the outside. He wants a piece of this as well. And I think, has Jardier managed to get that move done? No, he hasn't. The McLaren on the inside.
Oh, look at this. They're going to be 3 wide. 3 wide on the front straightaway.
But they stay as they were. The McLaren of the Team Zero Bad Luck team remains in front. Here comes Jardier again, having a look on the inside. The Ferrari, is he going to get it done this time? Does he have the drive? Or is the McLaren going to hold it through Hollywood? Here we go into Craner Curves. This is going to be the situation where, does Jardier have to back out? Is he going to go for it? He is going to go for it on the inside of the old hairpin, and he will get the move done. And Darren King will follow through in suit.
Pro racing here from Jardier, and completely falling through the field now is the 247 McLaren, who has just been disposed of in a train of cars going around him, as Jardier finally gets the pass done. In pro racing by Kennedy and Jardier right there to not really have contact. There was contact after the fact. And here's Darren King. Darren King thinking about going to the outside. It's going to be a spin down to the S's. There's a touch and a spin. Jardier goes off into the S's. Darren King goes through.
Oh, dear me. Get a replay here. You can see Darren King going towards the outside. Just a tap on the back end of Jardier, and that sends the Ferrari off at the end of the Fogarty S's. And oh dearie me, we did say keep it clean, boys. We don't want this to end up looking like Silverstone, but obviously some of them haven't read the driver's briefing here today. Darren King up to 6th, obviously pending penalty investigations. Penalties are coming out, by the way. They have been getting handed out to some of the teams. We've got a drive-through penalty for car 11. That's the Griffax Engineering Bentley at this point in time. That was for contact with the Renwelton Lamborghini on lap 1. And then the 409 car has also been given a drive-through penalty. That's the car with Taha Mali in it at this point in time. They've been given a drive-through for contact with the 556. That's the Butler Powell Motorsport car that I did see off track. Nothing yet regarding the number 95 Sidemax Motorworks car and what possibly happened to them. But some penalties coming out already for those lap 1 incidents, Jesse. Drive-throughs being administered by the stewards. They're not happy about what they've seen today.
Yeah, it sure has, and I gotta say, it has been nonstop action, and there's gonna be contact here, and another car going off. Merrick Shins sends the 34 off the track. Hard contact after the S's, and another spin. Let's look at this again. Merrick Shins is just gonna close up to this Lamborghini, the 34. What happens here? The 34 has to keep from getting onto the dirt, and slows up, and I believe contact made there, Ryan, and another car sent near the S's. The S is always the trouble spot here at Donington, and rearing its ugly head here today early, and I think that's because everyone is so close together in lap time. And oh, by the way, Vincent Airbridge still leading this race over Steele Vason. A little bit of a gap, a little bit more of a gap than there previously was, but still not a big one. And while we have a moment I think it's a great time to introduce the third member of our commentating crew today. He's live from pit lane, Mr. Nick Setnick. What do you got for us, Nick?
Hey guys, so obviously it's been a very exciting race so far. Lots of contacts and excitement in the first opening laps, but I did actually manage to run over to a few of the garages in between. Got a hold of Marcus Lawrence for team 12. Obviously, Airbitch landed the pole position for out of qualifying. Basically, he was saying that they were a little bit on the back foot, actually. They were really impressed with all the pace from everybody, and they managed to land that time, and they're actually just going to maintain pace what they can. Obviously, they're still up front, so they're really happy with the current progress, and they will just keep doing that. But I did actually manage to run over to the garage for the 249. Chris Huke had a comment about the contact that was on lap 1. Samir was punted off the course. Now, in all the excitement, the stewards have gotten back to us, and that has led to a drive-through for Hendrickson in the number 11 Bentley. But they said that that's not going to deter them from the race. They're going to keep pushing through and finish this race and see what they can do with it.
Well, that Nick Setnick in pit lane with his finger on the pulse. And like you said, Nick, we were told that Hendrickson was going to have a penalty. Well, rather unfortunately, he cycled out right behind the car that he punted to begin with. Ryan, I think we might need to open up a UN peacekeeping mission before this race is over.
Well, peacekeeping has never been the strong suit of either of our, should we say, nations, Jesse.
Oh dear, here we go.
As it has been. But we'll leave the history lessons for another day as we go back on track. It's good to see at least the drive-through coming out for the 11 has put them back behind the 249, which is, some respite, I guess, for the 249. But like Nick said, they're just going to keep soldiering on. That's the best thing you can do in these situations. You just got to try and make the best out of a bad race and hope, that you can look forward to the next one and see what you can do. Meanwhile, Felix Ruppert up in 12th place at this point in time. 3rd place in silver at this stage. And he's looking at the back of Lukaszek in the number 23. Going to see if they can get past at this point in time, and they're going to look to put a car between themselves and 4th place in silver as well. That's Stefan Zero in behind. You can see the big BMW M6 looming, as I believe another car has just been given a drive-through penalty. Car 58 is that, has been given a drive-through penalty. That's the 2nd PCDC car that's just been handed a drive-through. And as I look down, that's for drive-through penalty for lap 1, turn 7, involving cars 58 and 90, 58, 95, and 333. So that means the Triple R car and the Sidemax Motorworks 95 car both caught up in that incident. And, well, that's led to a drive-through for the number 58. So not great for them. But we are starting to see all of those lap 1 incidents get some verdicts handed out on them, and as well, I think the Triple R team have managed to pick up a 5-second penalty in the process, so that's going to add to their misery as well this race.
Yeah, so the Triple R team was given a 5-second penalty for his involvement in lap 1, turn 7, that big melee we saw going up the hill. So it doesn't say what, actually it does. It was the incident involving the 58 and the 95 and the 333. Most of those cars received a penalty, and for the 333's part in that, they got just a 5-second penalty. I can't really speak as to what warranted the 5-second penalty, but I can assume not giving enough space or something of that nature. Also news coming into the box currently, we're being told, a little birdie is telling us that Darren King is already on his 3rd track limits warning for the race, meaning that if anybody on his team gets another one, well, that is going to be a drive-through penalty. And that is way early in the race to have that many penalties.
It is very, very early on to pick up that many track warning violations. It's easily done around here, specifically at the chicane. That's going to be the biggest problem zone for a lot of people here today. But you know what? I've been in that situation before. Mikhail Sundstrom will hate me for referring to this on live stream, but he put me in that situation. Me and Fabian Schudberger at an Imola race, we were put in that situation where he picked up 3 warnings in his stints, and then he was like, okay, here's the car, good luck for the rest of the race. And it's not a great feeling, taking over the car, knowing it's got 3 warnings on it already. You've got to drive so carefully. Or if you don't drive carefully, you risk being the guy that picks up that drive-through penalty, and, well, you've got to serve it as well. So, never a great thing. But of course, it's one of those things everyone has to keep in mind, and if you do see drive-through penalties pop up throughout the race, they might not always be steward-enforced penalties. They might just be track limits as well. But Darren King, in 6th place at the moment, has Carsten right behind him. He's got a 5-second penalty to his name as well. And looking at the steward's report, we've had a few pieces of paper handed to us already. The 252 picked up the penalty for the collision with the 191. That was the Racing Line Motorsport Ferrari that was, should we say, forced off track after the old hairpin on the first lap. So some of those incidents getting dealt with as well. But everything's seeming to calm down slightly at this point in time. Everyone's starting to just chill out a bit more, Jesse Lee, and I think that's going to be quite important for a few of these guys today. It's just, look, get settled into a rhythm, calm down, and sort it out all on track fairly later on in the race. But of course, looking at Darren King at the moment, or we were just looking at Darren King, we're still sort of expecting a penalty to come out his way, aren't we?
Yeah, we certainly are, for his involvement in the incident with Jardier. Jardier, who was down into the 15th place. They've gained 1 spot. They're up to 14th place right now. I don't think they hit anything beyond the bumper-to-bumper contact, as far as I'm aware. But they are on the rebound, but certainly they will not appreciate very much. They are that far back. This is George Boothby in the 96. Well, for those of you that were with us last night, you will recognize this man because he was the only man you saw in Victory Lane, the double winner from a night ago. Very fantastic racing indeed. Both Ryan and I were with you last night. And the leader, Vincent Erbich, going on board for a lap around Donington Raceway here, Ryan.
Yep, on board with the leader we go through turn 1 and down through Hollywood turn 2, and then the Craner curves. Incredibly fast sequence of corners, then towards the old hairpin, nice and late on the brakes, get the car turned in early. Maximize the exit as you go past Starkey's Bridge and then make your way up Schwantz Curve. Then you get to McLean's. Got to be nice and tight on the inside. Maximize the exit as much as you can. Don't hit the grass, will unstabilize the car. Then up to Coppice. Blind crest as you come to the braking zone. Get the car turned in nice and early. Nice and early on the power as well onto the back straight. Vincent Erbich making his way towards the Foggy S's. This is where you're going to pick up most, if not all, of your warnings throughout the race. You've got to cut as much of that chicane as you can to gain significant amount of time. Now he comes down towards the Melbourne loop, late on the brakes, corner banks downwards as you get in towards the hairpin. Nice and early on the power though as he comes out of the corner, now towards Goddard's, the final corner on the circuit. You'll see the track start to dip down towards the inside as you come into the final corner. Get it turned around quickly, early on the power again, past the timing board and then over the line. That is a lap of Donington Park with our race leader, current race leader, Vincent Erbich. And the number 12, McLaren, at this point in time, looking to make it 2 race wins for the 2 British circuits that we have on this calendar here for the championship in the World Tour.
I like it. I like where your head is at. We're getting made fun of for our diplomacy comments earlier. They're in chat, they're telling us that there's only one option in war, and that is war, of course. Well, what is a motor race but a mini war? And I think you're seeing that play out here today. We've got several large pockets of competition all running together. Of course, you know the King, Karsten Boothby, and Shins pairing up in the top 10. Here is another one with James Parker, who is currently being pursued by the 199. Very interesting stuff here. If you think about it, that's Ryan Mawson behind him. Ryan Mawson started deep into this field. Outside, I think the top 25 was the Open Visor Racing Club 199 team. They have climbed all the way to 17th, right behind Parker and Matushka, of course, right behind them. And look at Martin Lawrence right behind them as well.
Oh,
it's going to be big stuff here.
Oh. Well,
that oh my goodness, do you know what that wasn't just a block, Ryan? That was a block, and that was a report, I think is what that was. Like, you got to report that to the trust and safety team, I think. That was a big old move.
Yeah, James Parker trying to find a way through on Benedetti. Benedetti not too kind regarding that. And you can see Mawson and Matushka in behind as well, kind of just lurking. Harry Conway at this point, I think he's acting as a bit of a gatekeeper for some of these cars behind, maybe just holding them up a bit. And this isn't going well for the number 34 of Benedetti, because now James Parker still trying to find a way through. And James Parker their team's performance kind of replicating what we heard from a lot of the Bentley drivers coming into this race, that they weren't going to have a great time. But it is so confusing to me to see the 126 so high up in third place at this point in time. Okay, yes, in third place because there was an accident with fourth and fifth. But still running very, very well, very good lap times at this stage. And this CDA Nearly On Pace team is no slouch either. Mikhail Sundstrom, Joe McCauley, James Parker, Alexander Guglia field out that car. It's an incredibly strong lineup. And it's just a bit confusing to me how this car just seems to be struggling so much. We'll go on board with them here. And, well, James Parker gets so much closer to the back of the Lamborghini. And, well, I don't want to say it, Jesse, but I can sense an incident coming if this keeps up the way it is.
Well, if there's one thing I know about James Parker, he is not afraid to attack. He is not afraid to defend, but mostly he went on the track. So it is weird that he's this far back and this team is this far back, perhaps struggling a bit with the new BOP with the Bentley. I know that one other team that I spoke to was a little perplexed because they had, obviously, you know, you kind of build up a setup in a library, but sometimes when BOP updates hit heavily, it kind of messes up everything you do, and you have to go back to the Skunk Works and start all over again. And I'm not saying that's what happens with 899. I'm just saying that's a possibility. But here we go. Could be a pass. Finally, he's going to have to go the long way around the outside. Not too wide through here, gentlemen. You don't want to do this. Thinks better of it. Falls back in line. But maybe not. No. Maybe the double overtake. It's going to be a touch and another touch in the 34. The 34 of Andrea goes around and is now going to lose 10, 12, 15 spots as a move does not come off and bumper cars ensue in the S's again. The Audi turns him finally, and that pass did not come off well. And I believe, was that Matushka? That was Matushka, who very nearly prospered as well. He almost went from the back of the queue to the front, but James Parker just able to keep him there. I don't think Parker did anything wrong there. I think he set him up. I think it was nice. I think the incident came from whatever Audi that was behind. Was that Mawson, perhaps?
There was a slight bit of contact between the 899 and the 34, but like you said, I'm not sure if you could really blame James Parker for that. He was just holding his line. It was the Lamborghini that was off the racing line, and Yeah, just a little bit of contact slowed him down. The Audi of Mawson went into the back of the Lamborghini, and, well, you know the story from there. Wolf Matushka benefiting out of that, though. Meanwhile, Igor Ogorodnikov, we still await the verdict on the incident between him and Mike Noble. Of course, Mike Noble, well, Ogorodnikov didn't gain any places out of that incident, but Mike Noble definitely lost some, and he's probably got some damage on that Lexus as well to boot, so I'm expecting something along the lines of a 5-second penalty to come out towards that Aston Martin at some point in time, if what we saw last night lines up with our stewards' consistency so far this championship, and we'll have to see what comes of that later on in the race. But Mike Noble doing a good job so far to just keep that car in 4th place at this point in time. Still 2.5 hours to go. His teammates yet to take over the car. He's just got to make sure he gets them in the best position possible, so that when they take over the car, they have as few worries as they dare. And, well, if there is a 5-second penalty coming out for Ogorodnikov, I believe the 1, 2, 3 after the pit stops could find themselves in a bit of no man's land, so they should be comfortable after the first round of pit stops. But we'll wait to see what happens with that.
And of course, if you have any questions for the box, hashtag #AskTheBox, and we may answer a selection of questions that you give us. And it's not a hashtag #AskTheBox question, but Valerie asks, is Ogorodnikov under investigation? Well, we don't really know that. We're not told that the stewards are investigating somebody. We are merely told what the results of said investigation is. The only way we know if somebody's being investigated is by who goes into the race control box with Mr. DeVoist, because we're not privy to that information. Only the stewards are. Like Ryan said, we assume that there's some sort of conversation going on about that previous incident, but
well, Gergo Panker stormed into the steward's box to talk to Stephen, our race controller for today. So I imagine words were had regarding that incident with Ogorodnikov. So
remind me, Gergo really good at being polite and not saying what he thinks.
For sure, Gergo. Yeah. I mean, one of the nicest guys I've ever met, and well, I'm gonna fortunately, get to know him a bit better, and
is that right?
In a few weeks' time, yeah, I'm gonna be teaming up with him for unannounced something later on this year.
Unannounced project number 1.
Yes, we'll have more information about that later on. Not later on in this race, later on in terms of the future. But back to the present, Jaroslav Honzik, after being
here we go.
After being rather rudely removed from the road earlier by Darren King, he's stalking down Felix Rupert at this point in time in the number 16. And Jardier just trying to recover as many places as he can at this point in time. Obviously, that incident with Darren King, not ideal for him, but he's going to want to leave his car in the best state possible for his teammates when they inevitably take over later on in this race. 70 minutes is the max stint time that these guys have out here, so it's the maximum amount of time each of their drivers can be in the car. And for quite a few of these drivers, obviously you want to maximize the amount of time your quickest driver is in the car, so I would imagine that we'll probably see Jardier in the car for almost a full 70 minutes, unless they feel that pitting early could help them get out of traffic, but we'll have to see as we go further on.
I see Mark Whitford has joined us in the chat. Hello, Mark. And you just missed it, mate. We actually just talked about Ryan Mawson and that incredible start to the race that they had to this point. So we did, for once, we were on top of something. We did cover that very well indeed to this point. Alexander Karsten here, trying to do his level best to get back to Darren King. And we're talking about Jardier, Ryan. I think he's done a fantastic job of recovery. Certainly not what he was asking or what he would have wanted. Of course, last night he had a couple of brilliant races where he was sort of the constant, him and Boothby. they were the ones that didn't really have any major issues or hiccups, and they were both handsomely rewarded. Well, today you got Jardier having issues, having to recover, and I'm a bit selfish in that respect. I'd rather nobody get involved in incidences, but it is very exciting to see a driver of his level come through a field like he is, and the tactile way that he's doing that, up to 12th place, and as far as I am aware, has not had any further instances as Karsten continues to close in on King. Karsten has that 5-second penalty. 5-second penalty for him. I believe, as we watch this, we have a replay of the 191. Here is Shins going to make an overtake here into Goddard's. Excellently done, well placed, clean move, a fair move, and position gained for Shins, and that is what they are looking for. The 191 came in as the championship leaders, and they very much need that. Now they're on the back of all of this group right now, Ryan. Got to be careful, got to pick your way through this cleanly.
Definitely so, and Marek Shins should know that. Leading the championship, they don't want to do anything silly and throw themselves further down the grid, whether through incident or getting themselves a penalty. Got the 252 in front of them, Alexander Karsten. Obviously, 5-second penalty means they're effectively running in front of them at this point, and obviously there's no further points for being ahead of the 252, running in completely different classes. But like Jesse mentioned earlier, just because they're in different classes doesn't mean they have to move over for each other.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but Mike Jones, our broadcaster producer in chat here, is explicitly going out of his way to find a way to penalize the 199. This is a joke, of course, but the hashtag ban Jordy's in chat, despite the fact that Jordan Grant Smith not in the race, but he is, of course, in the chat. And Mike Jones will do anything to ban Jordy, I think, these days, but
well, we banned Jordy in the Friday Championship for one race, didn't we? Technically.
Ooh. It's oh my God. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have somehow figured out how to ban Jordy in a race he's not even in.
I heard typing.
He is so amused with himself too.
Meanwhile, whilst all this is going on, by the way, the 191 of Marek Shins has got past the 252 of Alexander Karsten. And
very correct. There is still a race going on.
And Fulvio Barazzini has managed to get past Steele Vason to put the Bentley up into overall second place. We've got a replay for Jardier coming up at this point in time. And this is Ryan. This is definitely not Jardier. This is Ryan Mawson. This is the team that banned Jordy would usually be in, I think. Mike taking the joke to another level at this point. But here is Jardier. Here is the overtake that we were looking for. And there we go.
Lovely.
Felix Ruppert, yeah, not really going to fight that. Not in the same class. Doesn't want to have any issues. And he's just going to let Jardier go. Little wiggle of the car. Do you think that was to just say, all right, there you go, on your way?
I think it might have been, and we have another one, I think, perhaps.
Mike Jones just loves the replay button.
Oh, here we go. Here's Marek Shins. Marek Shins. Yeah, Marek Shins continuing to make his way through the field, passes 2 SLR. We didn't quite catch that, but you get the picture. Marek Shins in front of the 2 SLR team there. So up to 7th place is Shins in the 191, and this is very valuable every position. Now on the back of Darren King. He's going to try to go around the outside of the hairpin. Can he possibly do this? He's going to be there real quick, but I'm not sure if he can handle it. He's going to have to duck back in line because he doesn't want to give up that position to Karsten again, and doesn't. Fakes to the left, fakes to the right, bobbing, weaving, can't do it, has to stay in line. Very smart driving indeed by Shins. Again, this team, the 191 Racing Line team, came in the championship leaders. They know their nearest competitors are picking up the boatload of the points by leading the race. It is damage control for the 191, and why not do it inside the top 10, potentially fighting for a 6th place position, and even more so as the race goes on. Still a lot of racing left to do. 7:14 a.m. here in sim time. Still 2 hours, 20 minutes of the race to go. No threat of weather, just very, very cloudy indeed. And if you've never been to the UK, this never happens here. It's always completely sunny in the UK. Track is optimum as far as grip is concerned, and track temps are coming up 10C currently, so things improving a great deal as we race on into the morning hours. Been a fantastic race so far, full of drama. I'm a fan of drama myself. I'd rather it not be at the expense of anyone's particular race, but certainly there's going to be some bent feelings and fenders to start with this one. Ryan Gill, if you are Jardier and you were disposed of, essentially, let's be honest, where's your head at getting back into this race? You don't have any choice, right? You just got to put your head down and make up spots, I assume.
I mean, that's what you should do. But we all know that not all racing drivers think that way. I think Jardier is kind of one of those drivers that he has an almost unbreakable mentality. I mean, it would take a lot to break this man. Let's face it. We've kind of seen it before, though. I think it was at the Nürburgring 3 hour, in which I can't remember what exactly happened to him. It might have been something along the lines of a wheel disconnect, but he was a couple of laps down at the start. And he was still smiling. He was racing for nothing, essentially, but he was still smiling, he was still keeping his head down, he was still pushing. And that's the kind of mentality that you do need. It's so easy after an incident to get so mad, so worked up, the red mist descends, and you just start making mistakes all over the place. But you've got to clear your head, get refocused, and start looking back. And speaking of looking back, just behind, George Boothby was having a good look on Alexander Karsten. Obviously, these two were racing each other yesterday in the Friday Championship, racing in completely different classes today here for the World Tour, and both of them in completely different cars.
Remind me how that went yesterday?
Well, it's roles reversed this time, Jesse, because Karsten is ahead of George Boothby in this instance. Jardier, in the meanwhile, has he got the inside line on the likes of Kennedy? No, he hasn't. I thought he had a little look on the inside there, but the McLaren is still ahead. Marek Shins continues his assault of Darren King's rear end. And the Ferrari of Darren King just doing his best at this point in time to keep that Ferrari behind. Of course, duo of the Italian Stallions right now on track. But of course, Marek Shins, he wants to get past as fast as possible because he knows he has a championship to defend. He knows that PCDC are out in front. And he knows that the longer he stays behind Darren King, the worse his position is going to become the end of the race. So he needs to get a move on. Darren King, he's just going for a nice Saturday stroll. He doesn't care what Marek Shins thinks.
No, he definitely doesn't, and that's perfectly fine. You know, if you're running your own race, then well, you're likely to do better than if you are trying to run somebody else's. And you'd be surprised how bad driving with your mirror can make you drive, even if you are at a pro level. James Parker back in 15th. That's Conway in front here. Conway has that 5-second penalty picked up for that lap 1 incident in turn 7. Parker takes a look, thinks better of it. Wolf Matuszka here coming into the shot. Wolf Matuszka also sort of in a recovery drive as Parker looks down the inside. Nope, not close enough. You may have noticed some of our commands on the screen that you can type into chat right now. !Discord will bring up our Discord. Why not just get involved? You like the racing? You like hanging out with us? Why not get involved yourself? We've got a split for everybody. And we would love to have you racing at RCI. Come and join us. Get involved. !Socials will take you to all of our social pages that we post on. Keep you up to date with everything going on with RCI. And my couple of favorite things, if you use !Program, that brings up the wonderful, I would almost call it immaculate program made by Mr. Ryan Gill. You know that guy. He's in the booth with me today. Excellent job as always. And you can download your free copy of the program for this series and this race
Wait,
using.
I'll stop you right there. You actually can't download it because
Can you not?
The hosting service doesn't allow it unless we pay them some money.
Oh,
So unfortunately you can't download it. You can have a
okay.
look
So
at
you
it
could
though.
you can bookmark it and you can look at it at any time you want when you are connected to the internet. Exclamation point spotter brings up the lovely spotter guide graphic that made by Mr. Fabian Schmidberger, who's down in the Stewards Hall today. Exclamation point timings brings up the live timing for the event. Don't miss a single battle or a single pass by watching the timings. We certainly are. And two of my other favorite things, if you are a French speaking or an Italian speaking individual, you may enjoy the French and Italian language rebroadcast of today's race. And even if you don't, go ahead and type in exclamation point French or Italian and go and tell them we said hi and thank them for all of their time and their effort into getting the restream language broadcast. Absolutely lovely stuff. We're in 3 different languages, Ryan.
Yep, and it's absolutely fantastic to bring RCI broadcasts to, well, 3 different languages. Of course, it's all part of, RCI growing as a family. We're a family of 5,300 odd strong now. And, that just keeps growing and growing. And, well, something that's been coming for a while now. Look at the send from Marek Shins on the inside of Darren King. I was about to say, we know what's been coming for a while now, and that was the drive-through penalty just being given out towards Darren King. That will be for his incident with Jardier earlier on in the race. The stewards have finally got around to have a look at that one. But look at this from Marek Shins.
Goodness.
Has a look. Darren King goes wide. He says, you know what? I've got a penalty anyway. You can have it. And,
if you listen very carefully, you can hear Shins lick the stamp right before he put that in the mailbox. That was an I didn't think he was going to slow down in time.
Well, Marek Shins, he decided that he wanted past, and he has got past. So up he goes into 6th place. Darren King has gone to serve his drive-through penalty. And you can always tell when a driver knows they're guilty of an incident whenever they come in to serve it immediately. You have a drive-through penalty. They receive the penalty and they immediately pull off into the pit lane. So that's when you know that they're like, yep, I did it done. I'm gonna serve that. And Darren King doing exactly that, just peeling off into the pit lane. He says, look, I messed up. I'm done here. Get this out of the way. I can carry on.
When I had a dog, I always would know that he had done something wrong whenever he wouldn't look at me. And perhaps this is the racing driver equivalent of that, immediately ducking into the pit lane. There's also another strategy to that, of course, too, is that if you immediately serve it, if you know that if you assume it's coming, which you can safely assume that they did assume that was going to happen for Darren King, that, yeah, go ahead, get it over with, get back in the race, and that is just all the more time that you have to reassess and reformulate your strategy, because again, a penalty completely changes your strategy as it adds sort of a different trip or an extra trip down the pit lane. Race still continuing here, closing in on the end of the first hour. Vincent Erbich still leading the race 5 seconds over Fulvio Berrezzini. You can still see him in the background a little bit. Still Vason has settled in to the 3rd place, some 3.5 seconds off. Mike Noble up into the 4th place, also just sort of hanging out on his own little island. And Igor Ognoranikov in the 5th place position. And he is sort of in his own world as well, literally nobody around him. And we just saw the man who sent it through the post, Marek Shins, with a incredible move into the hairpin, clean move and unbelievable on the brakes, up into the 6th place position. That is Karsten behind him in 7th place, who has a fight on his hands, not only for his position, but he does have that 5-second penalty, does the 2.52. And Boothby, who is still trying to get by him, who has Jardier behind him, who is still trying to get by him. And if I'm Jardier, it has been 2 days of following the George Boothby, and I'm a bit tired of it if I'm Jardier.
No, I'd definitely be a bit tired of it as well. We come up to the 50-minute mark in the race. This is how things stand at this point in time. Vincent Airbridge, of course, leading 5.4 seconds up the road. And then it's Fulvio Barazzini and Steele Vason rounding out the top 3 overall at this point in time. You can see some of the drivers a bit further down, and it looks like the number 59 has had to... Have they retired from the race? No, they're still in the race. I did see someone say earlier that they would be retiring from the race. I think that might have been the number 11 Bentley of the Griffax Engineering. I think their Bentley might have retired as they have disappeared from my timing board. But lots of drivers still carrying on with this race. And unfortunate for those caught in incidents. But as you've seen, the live stewards coming out and giving verdicts where they feel necessary. And speaking of giving verdicts where they feel necessary, Jesse, the incident between the 56 and the 123, that was Ogorodnikov and Mike Noble up towards Coppice, turn 8, judged to be a racing incident by the stewards. No penalty coming out to either car, so race on is what the stewards say, and I can only gather that maybe the stewards believe that Did Mike Noble not lose enough time, or did he not receive enough damage to warrant a 5-second penalty, I wonder?
Well, also, too, you got to consider that Mike Noble up in front of Ogorodnikov right now, and that also probably plays into it. And also, it might have been difficult to sort of determine ultimate fault with something like that as well. So either way, it was determined that nope, nobody gets a penalty. You gentlemen race on, and not even a warning for that too. So that tells me that they very much cleared that in their mind that stuff happens. Noble's still out there, and Ogorodnikov.
Wait, he didn't lose a place to Ogorodnikov, of course.
Exactly. Correct.
He did lose a place to Barazzini though, which is why I thought maybe.
Right.
Maybe there would be a penalty coming out, but you know what? If the stewards have looked at it and they said, well, look, you're both, as much as fault as each other, then, look, who are we to question it? We don't see all the angles. We don't get to see the replay.
Correct.
10, 20 times like they do.
Make educated guesses is what we do.
Or rather uneducated guesses in most situations when it comes.
All right, Ryan, I was attempting to be nice, but now my feelings are in tatters. Well, here is Jardier, who is still suffering from what I call Boothby syndrome. He's still behind George Boothby here. Boothby's fallen off of Karsten here a little bit in the last lap or so, and also that is Rupert, who has caught up to the back of this group. Now, I can only assume maybe Boothby had a bad lap or even just a singular bad turn that slowed them down, and that immediately helped Rupert catch up to the back of this group as they turn this into a threesome. Could be a foursome here in a second, as it does look like Boothby is catching up ever so slightly to the AMG in front. Got to be careful not to put a foot wrong, especially with these big groups. And of course, everybody here fighting for a top 7 position.
Another penalty coming through from the live stewards box. Stephen has just handed me another piece of paper. Number 21 and 556 involved in an incident. And that's going to be a 15-second penalty for the 556. Meanwhile, first pit stop for a driver swap. Triple R in the pit lane. Harry Conway out of the car. And the man with the best name in sim racing in the car, Billy Octane. I'm not biased, I swear. That's a lie, I'm definitely biased. But Billy Octane in the car and out on track in that lovely livery for the Triple R McLaren. And he's going to try and do his best at this point in time to bring that car further up the field in the silver class. Meanwhile, Jardier's assault continues. And Boothby not looking like he wants to move over anytime soon. Caught back up to the back of Alexander Karsten now, and, well, there really aren't many drivers that are harder to overtake than the likes of George Boothby. I mean, we've seen it before, Jesse, in multiple races. You know, this man is ahead of you. It can take a lot to get past him. It can take a lot to keep him behind you as well, let's not forget. He's great at attacking and getting overtakes done. But I think when we talk about drivers that are difficult to overtake, I think George Boothby has to stand up there as one of the most difficult to overtake, because we don't really see that many people overtake him at all.
Well, the thing for me about Boothby, Ryan, is I've seen people overtake him, but I've not seen many people keep the position, because even when you overtake him, he's so smart in the way that he positions his car and he defends that he's always typically going to have the last word. And he's so very, he has race knowledge, you know, and he's educated on where he needs to put his car to defend, where he needs to put his car to attack. I think a driver would say he's frustrating. He's frustrating to have to race because he's so smart. He has racing smarts, and the only way you get those is by repetition. And the only thing worse than having him out in front of you and you having to attempt to pass him is having him right behind you, knowing that he could probably get by you. And this is the thing right here. You got Boothby and Jardier nose to tail. And if I'm Karsten, I got to think that if Boothby sends it, Jardier is going to fill that gap, because Jardier is a great opportunist. Jardier is a great driver. We've seen it twice in this race already on his recovery drive, where a car in front of him got side by side. You know, Darren King, for instance, got side by side with somebody, and that let Jardier go through as well. And I think that's what Jards is waiting for right here. He's Boothby's biggest fan. He goes, "Go on, get beside that AMG. I'll follow you."
Well, Jardier at this point in time, whether George Boothby plans to get past Karsten sooner rather or later than not, Jardier just going to be like, you know what? I'll stick in behind a bit, but I want to get a move on. I want to get past. Maybe Jardier is being held up a bit here. Does close back in onto George Boothby through a few of these corners, but the Audi gaining momentum now, pulling away from Jaroslav Honzik. You can see as that Audi just seems to close the gap between himself and the Mercedes in ahead. Of course, once it comes to the pit stops, the Audi should jump ahead of the Mercedes anyways. But of course, for Karsten, he doesn't need to let Boothby through. He just needs to continue doing what he's doing. And if he believes that, you know what, it's best that I keep two cars between me, because that's going to mean that there's less time between me and the car for third place in the silver class, which is Felix Ruppert, then, you know, he's gonna keep those two pro cars between him, because it's gonna push Ruppert further behind, and it means when he comes out the pit lane after serving that penalty, it's gonna be less time between the cars than there otherwise would be.
Very much correct, Ryan. And got a handful of penalties. Steven just threw 3 or 4 pieces of paper at me here. The 556 was given a 15-second penalty for an incident involving the 21 on the 17th lap. The 158 was given a 5-second penalty for an incident with the 300 car on lap 20. And again on lap 20, a 15-second penalty for the Open Visor Racing 199 team for that incident with the 23. So the 199 has a 15-second penalty. And I believe they've swapped drivers. I believe Whitford is in the 199 now. And I'm not sure if they got to serve that penalty on that stop they just did or not. But here is Agnar Radikov in pit road, pitting out of the 5th place position as the first round of pit stops continue. Reminder, every team is mandatory to have 3 drivers. I forget. I think it's Darren King's team, isn't it? That only has 2 today.
It's Darren King's team, and I believe it's the Audi towards the back of the grid as well. The number 59 has also only got 2 drivers in it today.
Well, I'm being told, I was told pre-race by Race Control that they are allowed to race in that configuration, but as soon as the race ends and they have not met the 3-driver swap criteria, they will be handed a very hefty, was it 30-second penalty or something like that, or as
Stop
soon as they,
and go 30.
yes, as soon as they violate the driver stint limits, they will get a very hefty penalty indeed. But that does not restrict them from participating. Boothby comes in. He's had enough for Side Max Motorworks 96. They have decided to come in and pit, and I think that's a brilliant idea. You're stuck in traffic. Get out of traffic. Get a good lap in, a good out lap, or a good first flying lap, and maybe get clear of Karsten. I mean, you're going to get clear of Karsten regardless because he's got the 5-second penalty, but still, maybe put a gap between him, Hanzik, and Rupert as well. I love that strategy. Stefan Zero in the 411 BMW. The only BMW on this grid. And here is Jardier, who still has Rupert behind him, and now a little bigger gap between him and Karsten in front. Of course, as we documented, Karsten has that 5-second penalty, but hey, he is allowed, Ryan, to race for his position regardless if he has a penalty or not. And to his credit, he has kept a bunch of fast drivers behind him. The pace of that AMG serving him right here early.
Definitely so. Looked good in qualifying, that AMG for Karsten, and delivering so far in the race. Obviously the 5-second penalty isn't great, but it could be much worse. Jardier dives off into the pit lane. So he's going to get out of the car, and that is going to be his day done for the race at this point in time. Marek Shin's also in the pit lane. Švenček going out, I believe, or it was Švenček's car. Švenček was in the 107. I believe it is Stubner now. Yes, it is in the 107. James Parker for Nearly on Pace, Coach Dave Academy. Or Coach Dave Academy, Nearly on Pace. I can't remember which way around that team name goes half the time. They're back in the pit lane. Well, not back in the pit lane, in the pit lane for the first time. James Parker will hand over the car. But Vincent Ebrich, the race leader, yet to pit. We'll see if they come in on this particular lap. But I tell you what, if he's feeling good out there in that car, why not run it as close to the 70-minute stint timer as you can? Don't have to worry about anyone directly behind them. Fulvio Barazzini, 6.8 seconds further back. But Vincent Ebrich has had enough, and he's going to come into the pit lane, and he'll be handing over his car to one of his two teammates in just a moment. Fulvio Barazzini continues on there.
He does indeed. Fulvio Barazzini will take the lead of the race. He has a few more laps before he has to complete his very first pit stop. I'm curious, is Marcus Lawrence or Vornum going to get into the leading PCDC team car, the number 12? And it doesn't look like they've changed yet. They may have to finish the stop before it tells us. I am quite curious who is going to take over for Erbich. Erbich does have to get out of the car, I'm pretty sure. I mean, he doesn't have a choice. It's a 3-hour race, and it is Marcus Lawrence that gets into the car. And, well, who better to hand it off to? What have you seen, Ryan?
I have just seen a 30-second stop-and-go penalty administered to the number 300 car, and that is speeding in the pit lane. And Eric Engman has just handed that car over to Adrian Stefanello, and I wonder which one of those two drivers picked up that penalty. Because if it was Eric Engman that picked up that penalty, Stefanello is going to be absolutely livid. And our producer was just saying there, the number 300, they were having a good race at this point in time. They had a tough race out at Silverstone, a tough race out in the 24 hours of Kyalami. They're having a solid performance so far. But a stop and go 30, that's put a massive dent on any sort of positive result they could have today.
You're absolutely right. The 300 was having a great day. They call themselves 300 ping, but I've never actually seen them have 300 ping, and that will dampen the party. And I'm like you, I'm very curious if that speeding was in pit in or pit out. It very well could have been either. But this is Fulvio Barazzini. He was second before the pit stop cycle. He still has to pit and hand over the Orion Race Team 126 Bentley to a teammate, but for right now he is leading the race. And this is welcome sort of clean air for the 126. They could go another lap, potentially another 2 laps if they really wanted to push the stint limit, but I suspect they may come in sooner rather than later now that they can officially say we led a lap. And well, that makes everything a little bit better, as the 300 ping car is off in old hairpin just now.
I was just monitoring that yellow flag, the 300 ping car slowly making its way back on track.
Was that a bin job, I wonder, from Stefanello?
Oh,
didn't quite
well, we
catch
catch
it.
the
That
back
might have
end.
been contact.
We catch the back end of that incident. I don't see any cars around them. Oh no, that's not good. I didn't see any cars around them drive up off the road after they got hit though, so that might be self-inflicted. I mean, I've done that before. Going through the crane of curves towards the old hairpin, catch a bit of the inside curb. You can easily have your car go flying off into the gravel trap, and well, with still a 30-second stop and go to serve, that really has put a damper on their day.
Well, a good day goes from good to bad to a complete nightmare, as Wolf Matushka, one of the last cars to come into pit road, he will hand over the Pink Performance 25 Audi to someone else. Does Berrezzini come in this time by, or does he tempt fate with another lap? I'm assuming he's coming in.
He has time. He has time.
He does have time to run one more.
If he wants to run another, he's got the time to do it. I mean, Donington Park is a fairly short circuit. Fun fact for you, Jesse, it's the shortest circuit of the 3 British GT tracks included in the DLC.
Yes, indeed. Very short, and I think that's why I like it so much. And he will take another lap. Here's what I think is going on. Orion Race Team, who tune into the stream, they are on stream. Mike Jones displaying Orion Race Team prominently here as the current leaders of the race, and they're like, we'll take one more lap if you got it. And also too, this could be legitimately, all jokes aside, this could be their strategy. Go absolutely as long as possible. Berrezzini has done a really great job, and I don't mean to downplay or underestimate Fulvio's ability, because he has driven up to the 2nd place position. He's held on to it, and he was only about 5 seconds adrift of the leader after about 1 hour race time. So that's pretty darn good. Certainly very few drivers would be able to do that. This is the man we expect to cycle through. Has Stilvason pitted yet?
No, he has not. Stilvason hasn't pitted. Ruppert has just come into the pit lane. The number 16 is in the pits. But Berrezzini coming around, and I mean, I'll say again, Jesse, he has time to do another lap. If he wants to go again, he has the time to do another lap. I don't think he will. I'll have a look. He is going to do another lap.
Oh my goodness.
He is going to do it. So he's going to run. He's going to run that 70-minute timer to its limit.
So it stops when you get to pit in, correct? The timer does not run when you're on the limiter. Basically,
in pit lane, the timer stops.
Right. So if Berrezzini, as Stilvason into pit road, will get relief from a MSV teammate. So basically, MSVR, correct. So Berrezzini is, if he gets held up, if he goes off track, if he has any sort of excursions, he could very much be in violation of the stint timer. But lovely stuff. You love to see the gamble, and why not running in a podium position, having fun with it, using their strategy. Now I wonder if this was planned, or this became the plan when they saw the 12 pit. I mean, I would consider it right on time at the hour mark, but for them, they may have considered it early. So they go ahead and come in and pit, and all of a sudden the 126 Orion Race Team still out there, and they're like, we'll see what this strategy does for us. Go right up against the timer, and I don't think I'm putting my neck on the line here when I say they're coming in this time.
Definitely coming in this time, and come in they do. Run it right towards the timer. They had about 18 seconds left on the clock.
They had 18 seconds. Unbelievable.
18 seconds left on the clock, but they do come into the pit lane. Barazini getting the most out of his stint. And he's obviously going to hand over now. I believe it'll probably be the likes of Matthias Egger getting into that car next, as we look at Marcus Lawrence. He is obviously taken over from Vincent Urbridge. And they're, in theory, going to retake the lead of this race. Haven't seen anything happen to that number 12 car to suggest otherwise, that they have lost any time. Fulvio Barazini still stationary as he gets out of the car. He's done for the day. Here comes Marcus Lawrence, and it is Matthias Egger in the car. The Bentley gets rolling again. There goes the number 12 McLaren, and safely in the lead. And here comes the Bentley out of the pit lane. A couple of the cars slow down towards pit exit. Don't want to get in the way of the 126, as they're a lap down, I think, at this point in time. But Matthias Egger has now taken over that car, and, well, judging by the lineup that they have in that car, Jesse, I'm willing to bet that Matthias Egger's probably going to push 70 minutes close on his stint.
Yeah, right, you are. Of course, the Orion Race Team and PCDC, all completely pro teams, no silver or AM drivers, particularly silver drivers, on those teams. They are all pros, and there are few people. It's a very short list of people that I would, not want to have behind me rather than Matthias Egger. He is deadly quick, and be curious to see if he can do anything on Marcus Lawrence, who's currently leading the way for PCDC. And Kellaway now, who got in relief of Still Vason in the 962. Going to be very interesting to see what Jason Kellaway can do. If he can hold off Jarko Torvinen in the 123 Lexus in fourth place, Kevin Saklari in the 191. And by the way, Saklari up into the fifth place right now after all of those penalties for the cars that were in front of them. They sorted that out, and that has promoted the championship leading Racing Line Motorsport Ferrari up into the top five. You gotta say, it's going pretty well for your championship leaders so far. It's going better for second place in the championship, obviously, because they're winning the race. But for a defensive drive for the 191, it's trending in the right direction near the halfway mark.
Definitely is. And we've just had reported as well that the number 25 jumped the 899 in the pit stop. 3-second faster pit stop for Wolf Matuszka. Phil Vitt's taken over that car now, and Mikhail Sundstrom in the 899. But, that's a Ferrari off after the old hairpin. I just saw on track there. I believe they've just teleported back to the pit lane, but there was definitely a Ferrari off. It was the 409 car of Taha Mali, I believe, back in the pit lane. And we're going to see what happened to this car. Ooh, that looks self-inflicted.
Yeah, he just got loose and ditched it there. And it looks like the 409 of Tom Molly is going to park that car. Well, we were trying to get a report on the 191. We have yet to run that down. But Nick Setnick has, in fact, ran down some information on some of the teams. Nick, what do you got for us?
Hey guys, reporting again from the pit lane. I managed to run over and catch the Griffex Engineering team, the number 11 Bentley. As has been pointed out, they decided to roll the garage up on today's race, but further, I have been told that they are actually calling it quits on the entire World Tour. They've been unhappy with their luck in the series thus far and decided that a full retirement would be their preferred course of actions. They can focus on other events. I also managed to run down to the garage where Harry Conway was getting out of the car for the triple R 333 McLaren. He said he's still hopeful for a finish in the silver split, aiming for that podium. Nothing's going to deter that team. He actually cut his stint a little short due to a small puncture in the rear tires that he was dealing with. So that extra time that he gave to his other teammates. They would be splitting 50-50 between Ishmael and Billy.
Well, there you have it. Nick Setnick, the eyes and the ears of the pit lane here at the 3 Hours of Donington for the Endurance World Cup. Thank you, Nick. We'll be back with you later, undoubtedly so. All right, you hear that one team who has not only quit the race, but they have quit the series due to incredibly bad luck. Oh dear, that's a desperate and lonely feeling, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not a good feeling. It's not a great feeling for us as organizers and as viewers, and you know, it sucks for them as well. And you know, it's really unfortunate. But you know, sometimes things don't go your way. I mean, we've seen it, wasn't it, in the mini endurance championship that we ran. Sebastian Brunier. I mean, couldn't buy a good result in that championship, could he? Didn't matter what happened. Every race just seemed to get worse and worse and worse. And sometimes the championship does go like that. Sometimes it's down to drivers around you. Sometimes it's down to your own mistakes. But you know, if you feel that this championship isn't working for you, you know, sometimes people got to call it quits, and it's a shame to see. But we hope to see them back for more endurance races in the future, of course. And whilst we were going over that, we were talking about Harry Conway and the 333. They were like, oh yeah, just get our head down, still think a podium is possible. That job's going to be made a bit harder now. They've just received a 15-second time penalty. And that is for an incident involving them and the 199. That's Mark Whitford's car. So 15-second time penalty coming out to Billy Octane. He's not going to be too happy about that. But, well, you know what they say? All's fair in love and war, Jesse.
Yes, very sad for the 333. We just heard Nick Setnick tell us that they were so hopeful they could potentially get onto the silver podium. Well, another penalty, a 15-second variety, that is definitely going to deter them. Not out of the realm of question, however, with how long this race is, that some of the silvers in front of him may also suffer the same fate. And don't forget about the dreaded drive-through penalty, the big ruiner of strategies and the doomer of races. And if the 333 can stay on the track and not get another penalty, it is not out of the realm of possibility that they still may have a fighting chance. And of course, they are staying positive, as they normally do over there at the RR 333. As I don't know why they just don't change their name to RR 333, because that's I think what we all refer to them as. But a lot of penalties coming out now, and a lot of people, well, they're going to have that penalty for quite some time. And of course, you mentioned the 5.56 getting the 5-second penalty. The 333 has one. Earlier, we didn't document it, but we saw the first car right around the end of the first hour get the first drive-through for track limits, and Ryan Gill documented the first car getting a speeding in pit lane violation. So the 38 is the driver that got the first drive-through penalty, as we said earlier. Small correction there, but I gotta say, it's settled down this race. It's got a bit cleaner, and the passing has gotten it's gotten more difficult, but it's definitely gotten cleaner. As we focus on this fight here, Mark Haynes, who has Whitford behind him. Whitford has a 15-second penalty, the newly minted one that Ryan told you about, but that will not deter Whitford from getting that position away. Of course, you never know. You take the position and maybe you can gain some time. It's all strategy.
Definitely so, and I believe we might be having one of our first interviews of the race coming very soon. And Harry Conway in the chat, we'd like to use our actual name, but if you know, you know. That's a RRR reference. If nobody understands that, that one goes back a long time, Jesse. If you know anything about the history of the Triple R team, like Harry said, if you know, you know. But someone that everyone knows, or everyone should know, if you don't know him already, it's the man who pretty much runs the Pink Performance team, the number 25 Audi. It's Wolf Matuszka.
I know
Hello,
that guy.
guys. What's up?
Well, Wolf, it was a spirited first stint, and my first question to you is: we think we saw you spinning at some point coming down into the hairpin. Was that actually the Pink Performance 25?
That's a negative. I did go off track once between 7 and 8 due to a driving error, a rare driving error and a bit of contact. But no, I did never spin in the hairpin.
All right, so you went off without a spin. What kind of condition is the Audi in currently? Is it damaged in any way?
Not anymore. We had, due to that crazy lap 1, we had quite a bit of contact and damage. A bit of pace, about 5 seconds to fix that. And yeah, we totally repaired the entire car during the pit stop to fulfill to be attacking again. So right now the car should be in a very good shape. Track seems to be pretty optimal in terms of conditions. So yeah, just hot lapping now.
You're definitely hot lapping. You're making great time, up to 13th place. Have you, at this point in the race, sort of set a bar in your mind of where you think that you can finish?
No, not yet. I kind of misqualified myself with not too good of a quali. So ideally you wanted to be well up in the top 10 on the start. So we're looking at that position in general, but I have no idea where we are in terms of pace right now. I just had a little break, and I don't know where everybody did their pit stops. So I'm just kind of out of the race right now. So no idea. Yeah.
So my follow-up to all of that is, how are you finding traffic? We're in the part of the race now where traffic is a big factor. How are you finding it? Are they mostly being courteous, or is it a struggle to get around lap traffic?
I personally had no issues with traffic because in the first stint, we were just not fast enough to catch anyone, and we have a good 3 seconds to the next guy ahead now. So no issues with traffic so far at all.
Excellent stuff. Phil Vitt in for Pink Performance 25 Audi. We're talking to his teammate Wolf Matuszka, who I have definitely never caused to lose a race. And do you know what though, Wolf? Seriously, it's been a long time since we've cursed you out of a race. I think we've moved on.
Oh yeah, we definitely have. The other point is that I wasn't really leading any race in the last couple of months anyway, so I mean... Oh,
is that the only time the curse works?
I mean, I guess, yeah. It would make sense, wouldn't it? So you only curse me if I'm really up there. But I need to get back up there for that to work.
All right. Ryan, do you have something for Wolf?
I mean, I have one... I guess I have one question. You guys had a bit of a bromance going on with the 899 car at Kyalami. You swapped colors on each other's cars.
Yes, good point.
And
oh dear,
I had a look around the 899 and the 25, and I realized that those colors are no longer on the car. At least they're not on the 899. But you know what? You guys are still together on track, though, not too far apart from each other. And I mean, I don't know. Is there some sort of invisible tether between your two cars now? You're just permanently glued together on the circuit?
Well, not sure if that's the case, but there's definitely something, because I attacked Parker in my last stint because there was something happening in front of him, so I tried to overtake him. That didn't work. And then he gave me, the little left blink on the indicators to tell me, let's work together. And from there on out we did, and we managed to, show good pace and overtake some people. So yeah, we definitely work together. Even though we don't have that little color sharing going on anymore. But yeah, good that you noticed that. That's definitely definitely something in the air.
It's definitely a bromance between the 899 and the 25 as we watch Kevin Saklari attempt to overtake Jarkko Torvinen here. They have been nose to tail for the better part of this lap. This is as close as I've seen a car follow another car in a very long time. Showing his intentions as Saklari, but nothing doing into the S's. Single file through there. I'm talking with Wolf Matuszka for the Peak Performance team. You guys renamed that team in 2021 to better reflect what you guys are. How do you find your 2021 going as Saklari gets the pass done and makes it stick on Torvinen in 4th place, Kevin Saklari? But how are you finding the rebranding, the renaming of the team? Has it brought you good fortune?
Yes, I think so. We really changed a lot within the team. It's not just the rebranding, it's also what tools we use, who is part of the team, what kind of goals have we set, for 2021 and beyond, what we want to do and achieve, and yeah, it's quite a lot that went into it now. Setting up social media presence. We are all streaming now. We have the big World Cup on the SimGrid ahead of us. So yeah, good times looking at 2021. And I definitely don't regret changing the name. I think despite changing the name, we've kept our repetition as the Pink Audi, so that's good. So yeah, exactly that.
Very nice indeed. Well, Phil Vitt in the car now. Daniel Furrier, I presume, will finish off this race.
Exactly, yeah.
Is there anything, obviously the slight off you had, is there anything that hasn't really gone to plan for the Peak Performance team today?
No, only a bit of, bad luck in quali, but, and then a bit of damage. But in terms of racing and how the car felt, the setup and the communications, the pit stop, everything went really well. We managed to actually overtake the 899 during the pits, so that was good. So yeah, just keeping it clean and not getting much more track cuts. Let's say that's the only thing.
How many do you have?
We have 2. I got 2. Yeah.
Wolf, there's still an hour and a half of the race to go.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of, I was a bit uncareful coming into the chicane twice. That's why I got my 2 axes. But I believe in Phil and Dan to keep it clean for sure.
Well,
I like that. I like that. Believe in your teammates to keep it clean so that you can get all the track cuts.
That's perfectly fine. I've used that much to my teammates' dismay in the past. Ladies and gentlemen, Wolf Matuszka for Pink Performance in 12th place. They actually gained a position as Wolf was in the box. I think it's good luck after all. Going well for them. Phil Vitt in the car. Daniel Furrier going to get in to finish the race. Wolf, always a pleasure. Love having you here at RCI.
Thanks for having me, and yeah, maybe we talk again after this. Let's see.
Absolutely. Have a nice day. Good luck on the rest of your race. And we saw that pass from Racing Line that they did for the 4th place position. I believe we have a replay of that. Yes, we do. Kevin Saklari. Oh, it already happened, but you saw it live there. Saklari throwing it down the inside, getting it done in 4th place. And for a day where it looked like Racing Line Motorsport Ryan was going to be on the back foot, it very much was post-qualifying. Even though it's completely cloudy, it is a sunny day for them, getting passes made cleanly so, everything going to plan. Kevin Saklari, rocket ship, heading towards the front. He's only 3.5 seconds away from Kellaway in the 962. This could be, if they do win this championship, Racing Line, that is, today might be the day that they look back on and said, we didn't win, but this is the day that we finished well enough to secure it.
Yep, well, they could be hunting another podium at this point in time. Of course, they're on course for that at this stage, sitting 3rd place in Pro, 4th overall, of course. And, they'll be looking to improve on that as much as they can. I'm not entirely sure how the standings are at this stage in the race. whether PCDC Motorsports would retake the lead of the championship. I believe they would, as things stand right now, but who knows? Maybe Kevin Saklari and the Racing Line team can do something about that, but they've got a long way to go if they're going to be chasing down Matthias Egger for that second place in the Pro class. Here is Michael Kundachoglu in the number 96 Side Max Motorworks team. This is, of course, the team that won the 24 Hours of Kyle Army, the big one, the one that everyone wanted to win. And, well, threw themselves further up the championship order, 5th in the championship after a rather poor start to the season in Silverstone, and they've got Valentin Barrier right behind them. And of course, they're chasing down Soldatov at the moment in the number 56 like and subscribe team. So Side Max finding themselves in a bit of a sandwich at the moment.
Well, halfway through the race today. Hope that you are enjoying the broadcast out there here on RCI TV on your Saturday evening, wherever you are. We sincerely hope that you are well, and thank you for spending your Saturday evening with us here. I'm Jesse Lee. We've got Ryan Gill, Nick Setnick's on pit lane, and we have Mike Jones working the broadcast cameras, getting you all the action today. As Kundachoglu thinking about going down the inside, he's going to be shaded over very hard by Soldatov. Soldatov is going to hang on to that spot by virtue of a hard defense, hard but fair, running Kundachoglu all the way to the inside. We're going to see that again. This starts coming into the S's as it always does. Soldatov did not get a good exit, and Kundachoglu going all the way to the grass to the inside. You don't see that very often at all. Position maintained for Soldatov. Hard defense. Hard but fair. But we thank you all for joining us. And if you are enjoying today's broadcast and would like to see more GT racing, well, you know, we're racing on Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, Saturdays, and sometimes Sundays. So why not like and subscribe for more GT racing content? And thank you very much for that. And we would be remiss if we did not mention all of our wonderful partners that help bring this race and all races to you. Race Department, AK Informatica, Raceface Speed Labs, and Sim Racing GP. More information about all of them in the description, and thank them for everything that they do for us here at RCI. And finally, like I said earlier, if you like racing and you're into sim racing, why not join us on our Discord? Get involved. We've got a split for you no matter what your skill level. Come get involved. We would love to have you. Just after halfway in the race, and we have a very special guest joining us here, because not only has he been exciting to watch in the race, he has something exciting to talk about. But Jardier, welcome into the box again. And first and foremost, that contact earlier, what's your take on it?
Hey, boys. Hello, everyone. Hello, RCI TV.
Hello.
I should believe I can subscribe to RCI TV, boys. My take on the beginning, well, obviously that was my mistake. There's no denying, you know. I mean, the racing at the beginning of the race was quite hard, and I was kind of surprised the aggressivity all overall. Also my own aggressivity, you know. And it was quite good racing, but unfortunately I made a mistake, and yeah, luckily nothing happened, you know, like I just spun my car around Dalking, basically. I was just, yeah. It was aggressive driving, but that incident is like 100% on me, you know. I just made a mistake and miscalculated and spun around.
Well, that all being considered, I don't think you got any damage, did you?
No, at the moment I didn't get any damage. Only the tires got a bit of flat spots because I did 360 and like 200, so it didn't help. But the car worked quite nice. I got a little bit damaged like later on in the hairpins because some people were like crashing and spinning and such, but it was like 2-3 seconds, so no big deal. All good.
Well, we were talking about you earlier, and we were mentioning that we don't ever like to see a driver get disposed of and not be where they should be running, but it is exciting to watch you and your community team drive through a field and make passes. And you're a very special talent in that way, where you can just manufacture passes. And we've certainly seen that. You were down in like 15th. You're up into the 8th position now, as we watch teammate Valentin Berry driving the 39 Jardy Community Team Ferrari. But what's it like after you've been involved in an incident, and now you've got to focus on getting the pace back and getting passes done? Do you? I don't assume you panic, but like, what's your thought process to get back into the race?
Yeah, I feel like at the beginning of the race, I had like a massive good start. There was like a lot of incidents happening, and I wanted everything. And then I feel like I got a bit of hot-headed. I was fighting with Kennedy, and I was like couldn't get the speed because the backline was really fast on the straight. So it was really hard to like basically only place to overtake was the hairpin or somewhere get the position. Luckily, with like mistake from him, and it was really difficult. And I think at the beginning of the race I was a bit of hot-headed. And then after the incident, I cooled down. You know, I was like behind the BMW driver. I think it was Zero, and I was behind him, and I like kind of like restarted my mind because I was like hot-headed at the beginning, and then I was like, cool down, you know, take it easy. And I went more patient in overtakes and more careful. So yeah, it was quite stressful at the beginning, but then it just changed, you know, to better. I'm happy I actually got the positions back, you know.
Very much so. Up into 8th place as we watch Darren King from the Docking Community Team trying to overtake Mikhail Sundstrom. That battle will continue. But yeah, I mean, Jardy, I got to say, you being able to reset mentally, get back into the race, get positions back, you're up into 8th. Where do you think the 39 can finish at the end of the race today?
Well, like originally, if you asked me after the first 5 laps, I would tell you top 3. But
okay.
Looking at how you're driving right now, obviously there's still a long race to go. But I think the 6th position would be really good. I would be very happy with the 6th position because right now my teammate is really struggling because for some reason, I think at the beginning of his stint, he made like a little mistake and he went drifting a little bit too much. He's having a toe puncture, like he has a pressure rust on the left rear tire.
I see.
So he's really struggling with the pace right now. So it's hard to tell. I just have like all my hope into Grego, who's going to be driving third, that the pressures and everything will be correct, and we will have a good pit stop, and we can jump the cars ahead. And I think on terms of pace, we have like top 5 pace definitely, even top 3. But as the gaps are right now, I think the 5th or 6th position will be really good for us.
That's excellent stuff. I mean, look, you can see right now that you are not that far behind Kunda Chaoglu, and I'm thinking top 5 for you guys. But Jardy, you have something very special that we're all working on together, and we sort of talked about it this week. But doing a little endurance race, aren't we?
Yes, I'm looking super forward for the next weekend when we are driving the 12 hours of Mount Panorama. It's going to be very good event, I think. Crazy event as well because it's a mixed class and everything. So I think it's going to be really sick to watch.
Folks, mixed class racing, GT3s, GT4s, the Mountain, and that is presented to you by Jardier and a very special Jimmy Broadbent as well.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to be driving with the Jimmer in the Mintzilla car, so I
cannot believe he recruited you to drive that again.
Well, honestly, at the beginning, I was like, hey, dude, let's take Honda. It's a winning car, you know? And he was like, okay, let's do Honda, you know? But then you showed the new POP, you know? With the 40 kilos for the Honda. And I was like, hell no, I'm not taking the Honda with 40 kilos, you know? And I was like, listen, Jimmer, they screw up the Honda. Let's take the Nissan. It's good, you know. and he was like, cool, you know, cool. So yeah, I mean, I can't wait to get destroyed again because the bad thing about the Nissan is it has like a strange force feedback, especially on Mount Panorama. So it's like killer on the hands. So I wonder who's gonna give up first, me or Jimmer, next weekend.
So a bit of a peek of behind the curtain, Jardy. I talked to Jimmy sort of in the middle of that race, and he told me, or he told all of us, because it was an interview, that he didn't reckon he would ever be able to get you to drive that car again, and he also felt that you sort of hated him for making him drive that car there. So the fact that here we are, round 2 on the mountain, you're back in Mintzilla again.
Yep.
You gotta like your odds, though. You guys were fast in that thing last year.
I mean, yeah. I mean, like the pace overall was pretty damn good. Like, definitely the car is not the fastest, but it's good on a straight, so it's easy to overtake with it. And as I said, the only bad thing about the car is like it feels heavy, and especially the force feedback, it feels even heavier. So it's like a killer on the hands, you know. So it's literally like a machine there. But I hated Jimmy after taking the Nissan last year or a few months ago, because it took me like 3 weeks to get back my hands, you know, because my hands were like destroyed. Because Jimmy had the back issues, so he wasn't able to drive properly. And yeah. So I'm actually looking forward. Because the car is fantastic. I like to change the cars. I was driving way too much of the AMG recently, so I can't wait to ditch the car and just go to something new. So yeah, looking forward.
I think my final question on the subject is why? Why do this again?
I don't know, man. Like I was like thinking about the cars, and I was like, okay, the car is Jimmer, you know, so the car must be nice, must be fun, you know. So I was like, okay, not taking AMG because I'm sick of AMG recently. If we take Audi, we will probably die because Jimmy is not driving too much the ACC, you know. If you take Ferrari, it might be good, but who knows, you know, it's a bit sensitive as well. Honda was basically number one. Honda was the number one option, but with the 40 kilos, I was like, just no, you know. So I was like, okay, let's do this, you know, let's take the Nissan. We're gonna try Nissan.
Well, folks,
I'm happy now, you know. I'm happy now, but ask me after the 12-hour, please.
I absolutely will. We're going to have a post-interview where, hey, remember when you're happy before the race? How happy are you now? Well, ladies and gentlemen, what Jardier is talking about is the Jimmy Broadbent and Jardier Present, the 12 Hours of Bathurst, presented here on RCI in its entirety next Sunday. The start of the race, 9 a.m. UK time. Do not miss it. We will be live before then to bring you qualifying and all of the action from the racetrack presented by these two lovable human beings. And they are going to be participating in their own race in Mintzilla again. I had an absolute blast calling that race to see that big green GTR just gobbling people up and getting positions in the top 10. It was so amazing. And I remember talking, after starting from last.
This time we will do a quality, okay? This time definitely we are doing the qualification.
I hope you do, because there's GT4s in this race as well.
Yeah, I mean, so first of all, we are doing the quality, and second of all, I'm taking bets on how many GT4s will Jimmy bully during the race, you know?
Oh dear, no.
Oh
no.
All right.
I hope the RCI stewards will be on our side this race, you know?
Can I, Jardier, if I can interject for just a moment, can I book a no punt policy for my poor little Alpine that's going to be on the mountain as well in advance?
That's a no, Ryan.
Oh dear. Oh dear.
That's absolute no. But we need to put some bribes on the stewards to look a different way, you know, for that race.
I can try.
Oh. Well, guys, folks, ladies and gentlemen, do not miss this. It's going to be a fantastic weekend. And when I had first heard, Jardier, that we were going to do this again, this event again, I couldn't believe that you had agreed to drive the GTR, first of all. And number two, I told Mike Jones, I said, sign me up for whatever you need, because I love the mountain. I love the concept. And thank you, of course, for helping us put that on. And well, thank you for letting us put that on, I guess is what I should say. And absolutely fantastic stuff. Is Kevin Siclari here? Is he going to potentially get into an incident here? We've been told the 191's been going incredibly well. At some point here, we're told that there was contact flashing of the lights from Kevin Siclari in the 191. Nothing yet as we go into Old Hairpin. off into the dirt. Oh, yes, indeed. And cars in front of him going 3 wide. And the 191 goes for a spin back across the racetrack. Now, that Aston Martin was absolutely on it to not ram into the 191 as cars go streaming by up the hill into McLean. And that was significant contact, but not a ton of damage, I wouldn't think. Probably a little bit, but not a ton. Time lost and 1 position lost as Saklari back behind Torvinen again and down to 5th place. It was going oh so well for Racing Line Motorsport, but it has sort of momentarily been put on hold there a little bit as we were talking with Jardier for the Jardier community team, driving the 39 team with Valentin Berry today. Just telling you about that race next weekend. The Jimmy Broadbent and Jardier present the 12 Hours of Bathurst. And that is going to be live here on RCI. The stream will start somewhere around 8 a.m. UK time, I would assume. Somewhere in there. The race starts at 9. Like and subscribe. Do not miss that. We're going to be talking a lot about Mintzilla. And if you were with us last year when we ran the first one, it was a fantastic race. And Jardier has left us now, but Ryan, it's hard to find a happier guy than Jardier.
It is harder to find someone happier than that man, but I mean, you know, when you do what he does day in, day out, and you love it so much, you know, it's pretty hard not to love what you do. And well, I'm going to be looking forward to the race. Obviously, you're going to be commentating on a lot of it. I'm going to be commentating on some of it. I'm going to be racing in some of it as well.
I am going, so you don't know this yet, Ryan, but I am going to interview you as soon as you get out of the car.
I've already said to my teammates that I am under no circumstances going to mention my car at all during my commentary stints. I will refuse to commentate as curse my own car. So if you want an interview, I'll gladly give one, but I will not be cursing my own car during my commentary stints because I don't think my teammates would appreciate that too much. And my teammates for the event will be Martin Lawrence and Billy Octane, funny enough.
Oh, just lovely human beings, Lawrence and Octane. But Ryan, I don't think that will be a problem because every time we've talked about a team here today or interviewed a team, they've gained a position so far. So I don't think that's going to happen. By the way, Phil Vitt, we talked to, I'm not listening to you, Mike Jones.
Oof, denied.
Talking about,
no one can even hear
Mike Jones. Mike Jones was just informing me that that's not true because the 39 just lost several seconds. We're investigating as to why Valentin Berrier lost several seconds, and I was very much not in the mood to listen to Mike Jones tell me the truth. You are not my parents. You do not need to remind me of such things. But what I will say is Phil Vitt, we talked to Wolf Matuszka earlier, Phil Vitt's teammate, he's all the way up into the 10th place position already.
Well, Darren King, one of the number 38, sorry, the Dorking community team, currently driven by Darren King, receiving a 130-second penalty. And that's for exceeding the maximum driver time. And of course, he's one of the cars that is unfortunately running with 2 drivers here today. So they knew that they were going to get that penalty, or they were going to get a penalty at some point throughout this race. And I mean, 130-second penalty, Jesse Lee. I mean, around here, that's way more than a lap.
Ryan,
puts you, I mean,
I was legitimately trying to do the math really quickly, and I was like, wait a minute, that's like a lap penalty.
Yeah, I mean, that does put you more than a lap down. And we're still watching Soldatov and Kunchoglu for the like and subscribe Aston Martin and the Sidemax Motorworks Audi go toe-to-toe. These guys have been going at it for a long time now, and neither one seems to be budging. The 96 getting closer and closer to making that overtake, but just not close enough to get it done. They were side by side multiple points over the last 10 minutes. it just does not seem like the Sidemax Motorworks 96 can get past the Aston Martin at this point in time. It might have to come down to pit stops. So, what we're going to do for the moment is we're going to take a quick break. Commentators and broadcaster are going to go freshen up, and we leave you with the on-board sounds and sights of Michael Kondashoglu's Sidemax Motorworks 96 Audi.
And there you have it, the in-car, the sights and the sounds of Donington on today's date. 3 hours of Donington fully underway with about an hour to go. Most every team still pending the final pit stop. Big defensive move, big offensive move. Soldatov again for the second time going down to the hairpin. Hugely defensive move, and it works for a second time, as Kondashoglu does not have any recourse for a defensive move that strong. And what a defensive move it was. Again, Soldatov showing that he is not going to be passed so easily. And again, legal moves, fair moves, and clean moves. That's what we aim for. And that ticked all the right boxes. Well, Ryan, we've talked to sim racing royalty. We've talked to old friends. And, well, actually, we've talked to friends. How about we talk to an old friend who will be joining us again for the first time in a little while? What do you say?
We can definitely. Old friend. I mean, Jesse, is there something that's happened between you and our guest here that I'm not aware of? You know, no longer friends, but
no, old friends.
I suppose we can bring in the man of the moment. It is George Smith, from South Africa, but not from South Africa, because now he's no longer over down in ZA. He's arrived all the way over in the United Kingdom, and he's come to join us here for the 3 hours of Donington. How are you doing, George?
Ryan, so good to be here. Jesse, to you as well. I mean, it does feel like it's been forever since I've been here, but wow, it is so good to be back and be back with you guys, however, from a different part of the world.
Well, first question, obviously, are you well? How are you keeping?
No, I'm great. It's been an awesome transition for me. Obviously, making the move over from South Africa to the UK has been a bit intimidating. A lot has been on my plate, trying to get that all wrapped up with the move over. But as it's gone, it's been tremendously fun. It's kind of got less scary as the departure date got closer. And yeah, now I'm just doing my self-isolation in one of these isolation hotels in the UK, and yeah, pretty much halfway through, so 5 days to go.
You're looking pretty comfortable in there. I've seen the pictures on Twitter. You know,
he's
pretty,
whipped out the shorts.
Yeah, he's pretty well set up as well. I mean, I hope no one's been peering through the windows. You know, I mean, the last time we spoke, George, I mean, the pants were off at Kyalami. You were still in South Africa, and I mean, it was. As Mike Jones, you know, our producers pointed out, the last time we spoke to you for commentary, you were in South Africa. It was the 24 hours of Kyalami. You know, fast forward a month, and you know now we're here in the UK, and you're in the UK here with us as well. I mean, is Italy next on the list? Is Milan just down the road in a month's time?
I really hope not. I hope that this is going to be a home base for a little while for me now. Yeah, it's quite crazy looking back at the transition over and where I stand now. And when I think about it in the RCI terms, having been at Kyalami for Kyalami sort of vibes, being in the UK now for this race, it's certainly something. It feels like I'm kind of chasing you guys around. So no, I'm looking forward to what's to come from this. And as I said before, this has been a dream of mine to be able to come over and depart from South Africa. I'm obviously very patriotic about my home country, but I'm very excited at the same time. Kevin Saklari getting all kinds of interesting on the back of Torvinen here while I get to talk too. So a little treat on screen whilst being able to talk to you guys. I mean, I couldn't ask for anything more.
Well, George, we've talked at length privately about, your dreams, aspirations, and this just being a natural step, a step that you had wanted to take for quite some time for, opportunities and, your sort of career path. And it's been a bit, I don't think there's been a week that's gone by that Ryan or I or both of us have not said, oh, well, how's George doing? Or very generally, we miss George. And, it's heartwarming to, number one, hear your voice, but see some of your funny pictures that you have been taking, and see that you're well, and know that you are oh so very close to, I guess, assimilation is the word I'm looking for.
I mean, for me, Jesse, it's very much the same. I mean, I miss this place. This has been a home since it formed up during lockdown last year. And for me, being away from our side, this is the longest I've ever been away from you guys. And it's always, for me, it's an emotional sort of thing, not being part of the action and seeing what goes on. And, it just makes me proud to see how high the Racing Club International team flies that flag. Even just being a spectator from the outside, you sometimes don't often get to appreciate it. And I've had a lot of time to sit back and enjoy what our community does here. And it just makes me so proud to be able to step back and, come and join you guys again. And when I'm back up and set up and, back to where I'm going to have a home base, because for the next month or so, it's still a little bit of a wild decision as to where I'm going to be settling down, going to be checking out some places. For me, it's an unknown territory. I have no idea where I want to call a home base. And, I want to be able to explore around and see what I'm going to call home for the next couple of years,
Well, I mean, George, I mean, now obviously that you're over here in the UK. I mean, there's been conversations for a while now about some form of kind of RCI meetup, if it's entirely possible, maybe with staff members and community members. And as much as I know, I've spoken to Bart Matcher about this in the past, we'd love to do something like Spa or Le Mans as something of a community meetup. But I mean, considering the current UK restrictions and stuff, I mean, I've got plans to come to this wonderful venue this year for British GT, and it's still a few months away. It won't be till the summer. But for maybe some people here at home, some UK people that may be interested in going to Donington as well. I mean, are you? I know you're focusing, like you said, on finding a home at this point in time. But are you looking forward to kind of exploring and visiting some of these UK tracks that you've raced on and commentated at?
Oh, absolutely. That's part of the entire dream that I always had, was coming over. Hopefully being able to get more involved in some commentary in real life motorsport things as well at some point. I'm not leaving anything off the list of things that I want to do, but as a spectator, certainly keen for a meetup, certainly keen to get to know some of the members of our community, and of course our staff community here that we've all come to know and love throughout the formation of this incredible racing community. So yeah, Ryan, from my side, just super excited about everything that's to come. I've got some awesome news in my personal life as well that just keeps making things better and better. So I think there's a lot of positivity for me in 2021. 2020 was a difficult year for me. I lost my dad last year, and I think it took me a long time to kind of deal with all of that, and only starting to come back to sort of some sense of normality and finding happiness in myself again. So it's been a journey, an adventure, and looking forward to the future, man.
So Donington meetup, it's happening. Jesse, are you going to be there?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I haven't been to Donington in about 5 years, and I would very much love to come back and still have my passport as soon as the world decides to go back to normal, hopefully sooner rather than later. And George, just a little note on top of everything you said. You don't really understand how incomplete a picture is until a piece of it's missing. And the past month, not having George Smith with me personally has it's been a bit different, and it's all coming back together. And I know that you have been dealing with the things that you were mentioning there as well, and it's nice to hear positive, reassuring signs, just to hear your voice, just to have you back. We're talking with George G-Max Smith, who has recently immigrated to the UK. That's why you haven't heard him on RCI TV since the 24 Hours of Kailami race that we did 1 month ago. But he is completing that move, and sounds like opportunity and possibilities in the future for you, and for us to have you back. That is fantastic, and for you to be well, that warms my heart as well. George, what are you going to be working on now whenever your sort of self-isolation that is required by state law, when that's finished up, what's your next move?
So for the first month, I'm going over to the island of Jersey and going to spend a month over on that side. I've got some things that I'm working on the side, along with I can't really announce anything just yet, but some pretty big news. I'm still working with some South African friends and community members from back there to throw a really massive event that they haven't really seen. So hoping to do that, and of course in conjunction with our Racing Club International crew. I think that news is going to be pretty good and big. So looking forward to announcing that, working on a couple of things there before we do really make any announcements. And then yeah, there's a couple of other things that are on the cards that I guess I can't really talk about them too much. So Not really too much interesting to talk about on that front, I guess, Jesse. It's too many NDAs.
It's exciting, but not interesting. Is the
Yeah,
thing at this
exciting,
point,
but yeah, that's exactly it.
Well, you saw the pit stops do continue. The number 12 has come in. Vornum has got on board the number 12 PCDC car, and Mikowski is going to make his Jardier Community Team car extra wide and also aggressive at the same time, trying to get around Antonov for the 11th place position. As we saw several other teams come in to complete their pit stops. Saklari in the pit lane for the 191. They will fall through the field just a little bit. Matthias Egger in the 126 has reassumed the lead of the race. Keep in mind, they went down to the final seconds quite literally on the first stint of that car. So they have, I think they still have about 15 minutes that they can run on this stint. Actually, probably more closer to 13 minutes that they can run before the 126 Orion Racing team comes into the pit lane. Meanwhile, Till Vornum in the PCDC number 12 McLaren comes back up to second place. In the 123 Lexus and Jarko Torvinen has now officially come into pit road. So that leaves at the top only Egger and Phil Vitz that haven't come in, as far as I'm aware, as Dedicek now in pit lane with the 404 Ferrari as well. We're talking with George G. Max Smith. I always call you that. I don't call you George Smith. I don't call you George. I call you George G. Max Smith. I've even recently started calling Ryan Rai Gill.
I'm glad.
And,
I'm glad that at least Ryan's given nickname has stuck. I mean,
I'm
oh,
half
it's
South
everywhere.
African at this point.
Yeah,
you know, it's like we're kind of trading places, but you know, I'm still you know, the one making the moves here, Rai, just so that you know.
Oh dear Lord.
Well, I tell you what we are going to do. After the pit stops are cycled through, keep in mind Matthias Egger still has to pit. Nick Setnick's been around the pit lane. He has some news and notes about the final pit stop for us. What do you got, Nick?
Hey guys, down on pit lane, and I actually managed to catch Hanzik on his way out of the box. Had to ask him a quick question about why Barrier lost a little bit of time at the end of his stint. Turns out he actually had a puncture on his left-hand side that was destroying his grip, so he's really happy he was able to pass it off to Mikowski for the third stint for the 39 Ferrari. But I also ran down to the 962 garage. Milton Steele-Vasson sitting watching his teammates race. So their team is rocking the silver placard for the World Tour, but he had obviously incredible pace during his opening stint in the 962 Aston. He actually told me that his setup was holding back his pace a little bit and thinks a couple tweaks could have actually put him in first place. So he was commenting on that, but he has a lot of confidence in his other two teammates to finish off strong. We will see Keeble finishing off in the 962 Aston until the checkered flag.
Well, there you go. Thank you, Nick Setnick, again, with his finger on the pulse in the pit lane, getting you the stories that we cannot see, and no doubt tracking down drivers and teams alike to bring you cutting edge information by the moment. Well, George, honestly, it is a pleasure to always have you here, and we look forward to seeing you back in a full capacity in the future. And thanks for stopping by and saying hi to us. It means the world to us. And, you know, good luck with your upcoming travels this week, no doubt, and safe travels indeed.
Thanks very much, Jesse. As always, wonderful to be with you guys again, and I'm looking forward to hanging out some more as we go forward. I'll pop in every now and then. I mean, it is a little bit just dependent on where I'm based, but I will be around to you know, hang out and see you guys and help out where I can. Looking forward to, like I said, getting back into the box and doing some comms again. Big shout out again to all you guys, Mike, Nick, Ryan, all our stewards. You guys are absolutely amazing, and of course the wonderful YouTube chat and all the support. You guys have all been absolutely smashing, loving the race, and looking forward to for tuning in. And I'm just gonna sit back and relax and watch the rest of this race.
Excellent stuff as Wolmuth does get around Antonov there for the 8th place position. Well done. Thank you, George. And of course, from South Africa, immigrating to the UK, ZA has been a big influence and a big help and supporter for us here in RCI, Ryan.
Definitely have. We've had a lot of South African drivers come over to race here at RCI, and you know, George was a big part of that. You know, bringing those drivers over, and you know, helped introduce us to some people in the South African racing community that you know, we otherwise wouldn't have been able to build partnerships with. I mean, we have the partnership with Raceface Speed Labs at this point in time. With Bertus Hugo, of course, we have good relations with Jordan Sherritt, Bruno Cadili, and of course Sam Wright as well, who did commentary for our Ferrari 488 Evo Cup, and you know, it's great to get more people involved from different countries, and you know, it's in our name, RCI, Racing Club International. You know, we want to be as international as we can, and you know, we're going to continue building those bridges. And, you know, George Smith, he built a bridge to South Africa for us, and it's our job to keep it maintained while he's away. But hopefully we'll get him back in the box soon as Antonov continues to struggle. He's going to come into the pit lane at this point in time. So
this is an additional pit stop for Antonov here. Something amiss there. We've heard about several teams having tire pressure loss, and I mentioned in our pre-meeting that we had that in the introductory event that I broadcast, or I commentated, I should say, Stewie's the one that actually broadcasted that race, but in the introductory event that we did, we noticed that a lot of teams that were going over beyond the curb and then coming back over the curb were suffering tire pressure loss. And that seems to be occurring here for several teams. In the case of Antonov, it's so bad that they've decided to take, we assume that's what's happened here based on their relative pace, because they pitted recently, so it can only really be a few things, as potentially a pass here. And is Schumacher gonna go by wow, that was an incredible pass Schumacher just did there to get up into the 12th place position. Limerati here. Oh, no, not even a touch. It looked like there was a touch there, Ryan, but there wasn't.
No.
Lamorti gets the pass done.
So, Nacho Lamorti in the Odox Motorsport drops down a place through Martin Schumacher's overtake. And one thing I was going to say on that point with George Smith is that we announced a new Monday championship just yesterday, and of course that's going to be the Porsche Masters Cup, Porsche GT3s, Porsche Cup cars, and Porsche GT4s. And we'll hope that by the time that championship comes around, that George Smith will be able to do some form of commentary. I mean, it wouldn't be a proper Porsche championship if we didn't have the biggest Porsche fan in the world, or if not, definitely the biggest Porsche fan in South Africa.
He might actually be. Like, I know a lot of people say stuff like that, but I think George might actually have a claim to that title.
There's some legitimate credibility to that title. But yeah, we'd love to have George back as soon as possible, but of course he's got a lot on his plate at the moment, but currently sitting back, relaxing in the quarantine hotel with his drinks and enjoying the rest of this race. And we're going to enjoy the rest of this race from the commentary box, Jesse. Socially distanced, of course, as we always are. It's a bit of a squeeze in here. I mean, thank God that Mike Jones is, you know, in the box below us, the broadcaster's box. I mean, I couldn't imagine having to spend 3 hours with Mike Jones in here as a broadcaster, all the jokes he has out at some of these drivers' expense, and you know, it's part of our sanity keeping us keeping us separated from Mike Jones. In terms of sanity for Bart Matcher, well,
oh boy,
it's starting to lose some.
BMW's come on, look at this, look at him wiggle, look at him wiggle down the front straightaway. Schumacher feeling it here late in the race. That is literally a nana boo boo moment
Matcher
there
was not
by the
happy with that.
BMW. He's out there getting it.
Art Matcher was not happy with that either. Flashing the lights, he's like, "Whoa, dude, that's not cool."
I think
don't
Mike
like
Jones
that.
has never heard that expression before. He is losing his mind. Mike Jones, that is
we
a
need a
grade
medic.
school taunt, if
We
you're
need a
wondering what
medic
that
for
is.
Mike
That
Jones.
is what you would do.
You're
on
a
the
qualified
playground.
medic, Jesse, aren't you? Go speak to him. He probably needs some help right about now.
Oh, he's in stitches, mate. I'm afraid.
No one could hear this, but Mike Jones is in absolute
He's
stitches.
losing it.
He's
losing it.
dying of laughter was never a dying of
Oh,
laughter
my
was
goodness.
never a more serious concern than it is today. But the race continues
Oh,
on
dear.
for Nacho, Lamorti, Bart Matcher, and everyone else continuing out on track. And 45 minutes of this race remaining. Bart Matcher's gonna stick to the outside. He says, "Look, this isn't for positioning class. I'm not really too bothered what you want to do. Just don't hold me up." And the Odox Motorsport Mercedes is going to go through. Ooh, Bart, just a bit too late on the brakes there. And having to take avoiding action on the Mercedes. But of course, still doing fairly well at this point in time. Lined up in 4th place so far in the silver class. Would be a good result for the 404 team. Ismail Lebrec in the 333. And of course taking over Fully Octane, trying to recover whatever they can from their race. That car's had a couple of penalties. And Ismail Lebrec, he's got Thiesing right in front of him. At 7/10 of a second just ahead for the Cryonics Racing team. Replay here. This is 404. Bart Matcher, we were just talking about him. And
So what happens here?
Is this an off? Is it? Ooh, too wide.
Oh, yes, indeed.
Oh, no. Don't
Brakes,
hit the
brakes,
wall.
brakes.
Good.
And well
Well
saved.
saved. Very well saved. There's so many times you'll go off at the old hairpin, and the wall is inevitable. And, well, Bart Matcher that time, he said, "No, I'm not going to go into the wall," and saved it very, very well, and keeps the car going. Didn't really lose any places either by the looks of it, so that hasn't hampered their race too badly. Daniel Ferrier, we spoke to Wolf Matuszka earlier, and of course we saw Phil Vitt in the car during the middle stint of the race. Ferrier to finish off the last 43 minutes here. And I have to say, that car, I mean, it's one of the best looking cars on the grid, Jesse, hands down. But you know what? We're going to be talking to one of the fastest drivers on the grid here today. Joining us from the lead of the silver class is, well, I hope I'm saying his name right. I've said it like this for a few weeks now and he hasn't called me up on it already. But it's Milton Stilvason from MSVR.
Hello, it's Milton Stilvason actually.
That's going to be one for the Yanks, I think. Milton, nice to see you. Wow, you guys have been fast in the 962.
Yeah, we've been surprisingly fast actually. I did not expect to be where we were. Yeah, I kind of dipped into the 25s in practice, but I didn't get anywhere near what I did in that quali time. So yeah, I've been pleasantly surprised. Yeah, my two teammates are doing pretty well so far. They've kept us up front. Got a nice lead on the silver class.
Anything caught you off guard today? You guys have been absolutely on it as we watch your teammate Simon Keeble, who will bring it to the checkered flag here today. Anything caught you off guard? I mean, obviously you are a silver class team racing amongst pros. Has that changed your approach to the race at all?
Not really, to be honest. We kind of went in with a plan. Me and Keeble wanted to run a little bit longer on our stints than Jason Callaway, and who was in second. We've just kind of kept to our game plan. Yeah, we haven't really fought too much with the pros, to be honest. There's been a couple of times where they've had a bit more pace, so we didn't really put up much of a fight because we knew that we were going to lose too much if we did that. But yeah, I'm just happy to be up there with the pros, to be honest.
Matthias Egger finally bringing the Orion Race Team 126 to pit lane here for their final pit stop. Egger will get out of that car. That will hand the lead back over to Till Vornum in the number 12 PCDC Motorsports McLaren. And Tompkins is going to be getting in the 126. We are pretty sure, considering there's only 3 drivers and he's the only one that hasn't driven yet. Here is the race off of pit road. I don't think it'll be much of a race, all things considered, as Adam Tompkins does get on board. He's plugged in and he is down and away. This will be closer than I thought it was going to be to begin with, as he has to get to the line, and he is at the line, and Tompkins is released in second place. Been fairly close between first and seconds, all things considered today. We're talking to Milton Stilvassen from the leading 962 team. You guys are dominating silver today, which isn't very, I think that was a 199. The 199 is off.
No, that was 777.
That was open visor.
That was the other OVLC car.
But yes, Milton, I gotta say, it's been impressive. I'm not surprised to see you this far up the grid, considering how dominant you guys were at Kyalami last month.
Yeah, cheers. Yeah, we really enjoyed that race, to be honest. Went really well. After the first stint, we were in a really good position, and it just kind of, the momentum kept on going. Had a couple of little issues, hardware failure at one point, but luckily we managed to get it in the pits and swap drivers before anything major. But yeah, we seem to be carrying the momentum from there. So yeah, hopefully if we finish where we are, then we should get some really good points for the championship.
Well, Milton, I think you're going to end up the championship leader, because your 2 nearest competitors, I don't think they're taking part in this round. I don't think first place or third is taking place in this round. So I'm pretty sure you're going to get afforded a big championship lead here. And, oh, okay. Yes. So the 556 is in the race. They're just in P26. So correction on that. But I think you still will end up the championship leaders today, and you still have 3 races left in the World Championship. Will being the points leader change how you race in the final 3 rounds?
Probably not, to be honest. I think we'll probably still go for the best result we can. Yeah, we'll always push to come as far as possible. So yeah, I think we'll just stick to our usual game plan. Just go for points.
Well, I have to ask you, Milton. Obviously, you're competing in the British GT Championship at the moment on Mondays, and well, your competitor for the championship is out here racing today, or he was racing earlier today, George Boothby.
Yeah.
And I mean, you know, you had a pretty good race out here at Donington Park, so I wasn't quite, you know, surprised to see you doing so well out here in this race. We've got Snetterton coming up this Monday, and for everyone who's probably going to tune in on the Monday evening, are you confident you can take the championship lead from George at Snetterton, or is that maybe a to be decided?
I think that's to be decided, to be honest. He's been absolutely rapid at all of the races so far, so it's going to be a challenge. Yeah, I remember he was quick. I think we did, was it Friday Championship there? I remember racing against him, and I know he was very quick around there, so it's going to be tough to take the fight to him. Hopefully I can stick with him and yeah, try and take some points off of him.
Milton, how do you get so fast? You are what I would consider deadly quick. How does somebody go from being an average sim racer to an incredibly quick one like you? How did you get here?
To be honest, my racing career started when I was about 6 in karting. I'd class myself as more of a kart racer, to be honest, than a sim racer. I'm still learning very much. I started around about the start of lockdown last year doing sim racing. So yeah, then I did a few months of iRacing, then joined ACC midway through last year. and it's, to be honest, just been grinding on it. Me and my teammates are on it most nights. So yeah, we've put a lot of hours. I'm well over 1,000 hours in the game now, and having the experience from karting and being competitive in karting has definitely helped me. But it wasn't the walk in the park that I thought it was, to be honest. When I started sim racing, I was like, all right, I'm winning in karting, so I should be competitive in a sim. And then, yeah, I got my ass handed to me on iRacing, and then kind of, yeah, it's gone from there. Yeah, it was a bit of a shock to the system, going from being up front to kind of battling, yeah, people that I didn't expect to be. It's been a good experience and good learning curve, though, that's for sure.
So what you're telling me is practice, practice, and more practice. Folks, we're talking to Milton Stilvassen from the MSVR winning number 962 team. It's all going very much their way, just like it was in Kyalami. And not so first of all, you're so far up the grid, you're competing with pro drivers, and you're also dealing with lap traffic. Have you taken any knocks to the car at all today?
I think we might have had one or two little taps, but nothing major so far. Yeah, I don't think we've had any actual damage to repair in the pits. So yeah, we've been very lucky with that so far.
I'm sure somebody is wanting to know, but who is the silver driver on your team? Who is the slowest? Oh, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to play a trick on you, Milton.
Oh,
Who is
God.
the slowest driver on the 962 team?
Oh, I don't know if I could say that. That's...
Oh,
Jesse,
okay.
that's savage.
Yeah, that's a harsh question. That I'm not sure I can answer that.
Milton, the correct answer is I am, and we're all great.
Yes, that one.
Excellent. Ryan, you got anything for Milton?
Well, I mean, obviously, besides correcting me on the name pronunciation, which thank you for, I'll make sure to get that right on Monday when I come back into the championship.
We've definitely not been calling you anything else, just so we're clear.
Oh no, for sure, definitely.
Oh,
Not.
I watch all the streams, so I hear a lot of it.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, I always
that's
watch
awkward.
the streams afterwards.
Well, actually, we can kind of tie into that a bit. I mean, how have you kind of found it in that sense? Because we do have a few drivers around here that, you know, they'll come out and compete, and then post race, you know, whilst they're relaxing for the rest of the evening, they'll put on the race, and you know, they'll share their comments, shall we say, in the Discord on what they think. But how has that been for you? How has it been racing in something, and then, you know, maybe afterwards in the evening or the next day even, you know, putting it on the screen to watch it? You know, what's it been like for you watching a race that you're in? Is that, you know, is that a new feeling, or I don't know, maybe the karting races do they get live streamed perhaps? Is it something you're used to?
I've only had a couple of karting races that I've done streamed, to be honest, so I'm still fairly new to watching myself. It's quite weird and quite surreal at points, especially like with this championship, because it's quite a big championship, and seeing my name and like my team in there, it's quite cool, to be honest. Yeah, having it on the big screen on the TV. Yeah, it's nice to see myself. Although sometimes when I see like the onboards of me, or like in Misano yesterday when I had the massive moment when I was behind Jardia, it's quite amusing to watch sometimes, more than anything. But yeah, it's quite cool. I quite like it.
Geitvin getting a position from Thiesing right there, up into the 16th place position for Eko Geitvin in the 194 Racing Line Motorsport team. Yes, there are two Racing Line Motorsports team, and the 194 trending in the right direction late into the race. We were watching earlier the fight between, I think that was, I've actually just lost it was Thistlewaite and Sweterick, in fact, for the 22nd place. Battles going on everywhere on the track today, but My final question for you, Milton, is how are you finding your car choice? It looks like you've made the right decision, but were you ever nervous about picking your car?
Not really, to be honest, because I've always enjoyed the Aston to drive. I've kind of stuck. I've changed a couple of times the cars over the past few months, but I've always seemed to gone back to the Aston. It seems like a good overall car, and for my driving style, it suits it perfectly. And yeah, my teammates are getting on with it really well. So I think we're just going from strength to strength with it. We're really starting to understand how it works. So yeah, I'm happy with the choice. Seems like a really good overall car.
Well, Ryan, do you have anything else you would like to ask the MSVR team?
I mean, don't really have anything else to ask. I mean, I can agree with his statement with the Aston Martin. It's a pretty comfortable car. I've driven an endurance championship in it myself, and it's a solid overall pick. I mean, the only things I guess I'll leave you with, Milton, is that the eyes are going to be on you on Monday. Everyone's eager to see the championship come down to the wire at Silverstone in a couple of weeks' time. So from my part, good luck for Monday, and of course good luck for the rest of the race as well. You guys are doing a fantastic job right now.
Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you for having me on. It's been good.
Absolutely our pleasure. Milton Still Vasson from the MSVR number, actually they're the current leading 962. Aston Martin getting it done out here. Simon Keeble currently on board that machine. And, you don't hear that very often, Ryan. Clean sailing and just a good, solid race. And that is how they've been able to maintain a top 5. And, I mean, they've just been flat getting it done out there today.
They have. They've pretty much had, the race that they wanted, the race that they needed out here today. Another team that's maybe not had the race go completely their way, but still doing a very, very good job is the 123 FFS racing car. Andre Franke has taken over from the likes of Jarkko Torvinen. We saw Mike Noble in that car earlier on.
Speaking of that, is this Mike Noble in the chat saying things to
Noble,
us?
Noble Sim Racing in the chat.
Well, Mike, you're very very kind, and we do love having you here competing. You always make the races interesting.
That's a good point, actually. Mike, get over here.
Mike, why are you not?
Does Mike Noble want to come for an interview? Mike usually enjoys talking.
The last time, what was it? Didn't we had Mike Noble and Gergo Penker in the and Killian Ryan Meenan in the box all at the same time, and it got interesting. It got very interesting. Let's just say that we're glad that we stream on YouTube, because it probably wouldn't have flown so well on Twitch.
There's probably a lot of things that I've said on this stream that wouldn't flow well on Twitch.
That's right. Wolf Matushka was there, as Mike Jones reminds me.
But Mike, if you're around, Mike, we'll gladly have you in here for an interview. I'll speak of the devil. Here he is. It's the man that put his car on the front row of the grid.
What's up, cuties?
Fantastic! Oh, look at this guy.
Here we go. Now,
I would say we need to book a room, but we already have a room, and as I say that, we've got another member of FFS Racing walking in. We've got Gergo here as well.
He's jealous. He's so jealous right now.
I was told to come in here. Hello.
Gergo, you don't.
Yes.
Gergo, you don't have to do everything you're told. I'm afraid you don't. But we are joined by Mike Noble and Gergo Penker. Gentlemen, how's the race gone for you guys? I know what Mike Noble's going to say, but say it anyway.
Good.
Okay.
I was expecting fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, just good.
Wow. best.
So Mike, I mean,
Is that the interview you were expecting?
Nope.
I was
No, it was
expecting
not.
a bit more, to be honest. But I mean, Mike, let's rewind a bit. Back to when you were in the car. There was contact between you and I believe it was Soldatov in the number 56, and I mean, we saw out from the steward's perspective that was a racing incident. I mean, could you give us kind of your POV?
Antonov going around the outside. He's going to be forced wide on the track. Bart Macha not giving him any room to get by. Defense well held by Bart Macha. Antonov still looming large, potentially flashing the lights. I'm not sure if that's just an effect on the racetrack or he was actually furiously flashing the lights, as he went from side to side to get that block and well confirmed the challenge from Antonov here. Sorry, gentlemen, I just got excited there, as you may have noticed.
Jesse doing what Jesse does best, is get excited about racing. But yeah, Mike, I mean, from your perspective, I mean, how did you see the incident, I guess?
It was a bit awkward, to be fair. I mean, I braked really late, later than I usually do, and he braked even later. So I was like, yeah, definitely no way, I'm just gonna turn in. And yeah, he did touch. He spun around, I think. We got a bit of damage. But yeah, I don't know, I think it was a bit unnecessary move. Could have been done at the other place.
All right. Well, I mean, you guys before this race, obviously sitting 13th in the championship. The season maybe not gone the best way it could for you guys up until now. I mean, obviously you're sitting in place for first podium of the season, and I mean, what are you guys looking for the second half of the season? I guess if you can bring home this top 3 result. I know there's still 24 minutes roughly left. Samuel Rat's maybe a concern behind, but are you guys planning to build on this really good result today?
Well, not sure really. I mean, the Lexus it isn't the fastest race car overall on most of the tracks, but then again, we just strive to have a top 10 everywhere.
Look at Mike blaming the car.
Just building the points.
We're going to see a bump to pass by Antonov. And there you have it. Antonov using the punt to pass option. Apparently that does not come standard, mind you. But he definitely used that option. We'll have to see what the stewards say about that. Sorry, Mike. It's just, punt to pass. We've seen it used a few times today by some of the teams. I don't know if it's frustration or different braking distances or what, but you just saw Antonov do it there, where after a couple of failed attempts, just trying a little extra hard maybe. But sorry, Mike, back to your previous point.
About the second part of the season, yes.
Yeah, so I mean, what are you guys looking to build on this good result today? Whether you get a podium or not, I guess. I mean,
yeah, like I said, we just strive for top 10 every single race, because we know this car it isn't the fastest one, but it definitely can show a good result. It's hard work, and as a team, we really try really hard to make the car work, and today it showed off. That qualifying lap I did, that was quite insane actually. I wasn't expecting to land it on P2.
Well, I mean, considering you guys are in the Lexus, I mean, were you guys hoping for rain here today in the race, considering how the Lexus is fairly well known?
No. Today we weren't hoping for rain.
Interesting.
This setup was basically made today on try.
Well, people have this concept that the Lexus is a bit, or used to be, or still is, OP in the rain. The thing is that
it wasn't it?
Well, but not in light rain. Like in light rain and damp conditions, it was never good. It's a bit of a misconception that it was ever any good in light rain conditions, because it really wasn't. The car is not really enjoying that those conditions. It's really good in heavy rain, like at Kyalami. We had a stint where it was pouring down, like probably it was the heaviest. We had really good pace because the car felt alive there. It could finally show its potential. But anything up to like proper medium rain or heavy rain, it's average. So considering what the practice server had in terms of weather potential, we were hoping that it would stay dry because the car would not act too well in drizzle and on a damp track, actually. So, yeah.
Go here, myth busting everything we thought we knew about ACC.
Hey! Watch this, folks. Hey, Gergo, what do you know?
Not much.
The joke there is, of course, that Gergo Panker knows exactly what he is talking about, and basically, like Ryan said, we are myth busting here, or at least Gergo is myth busting, and I can sort of agree with that. I have driven the Lexus a little bit, and I did find it in light rain to not be as good as some people might have thought it was, and I thought that I was broken. Thanks for confirming that I was not broken.
You are definitely still broken, Jesse.
Ryan, we're not. Ryan, we are going to move very swiftly on. Mike, I got to ask, you guys are running third. Will you be happy with the third place finish today?
Yes, for sure. Very happy with the third place finish.
All right, then.
Yeah, we're very happy.
That's the thing.
We are very happy about Jarko's performance because
really,
oh, yeah,
he did exceptionally well. Yeah.
Okay.
Like we knew that Mike was going to be able to have a strong quali and a strong start of the race, but Jarko did absolute his best and stayed where Mike left off. So it was really good team effort.
Yep, it was definitely.
I mean, you guys have been together for a while now as a team, haven't you? I mean, I think the first time I saw Mike, Andre, and Jarko all together was probably the 6 hours of Nürburgring for R11. I mean, I know the less said about that race, the better from your guys' perspective. But I mean, now for FFS Racing, I mean, you've got Gergo involved, you've got Matt Samuel involved as well, and I mean, from what I understand, Gergo, I mean, you're a bit of a team manager for FFS Racing, and I hear that you guys have won a few things as well. Some BenQ monitors.
Still didn't build a website for us. I'm so sad.
Yeah. Ooh. Yeah, I've yet to create the Twitter channel for the team. Yeah, well, the whole thing started out as a bit of a farce for like a farce esports team, but we actually won things, so it's quite funny. And we were also invited in one of the other endurance championships, and we did really well. And that's just down to like mostly the team effort. Like that's why we still have the team and we still enjoy each other's company, because we can do a good job without sweating for the result too much, and that's just, it makes for a good time. And
just we're very good friends. We tend to not take things too seriously.
I see. Now that's very interesting for me to hear. By the way, we're talking to Mike Noble, Gergo Panker, and we're watching Andre Franco on the screen right now. They're all from the 123 FFS Racing Lexus team, and what's interesting about that is that you say that, oh, you're all friends and you don't take it too seriously. Do you realize that you're all stupid fast? Like, do you all show up in separate UFOs, or do you carpool to the racetrack? I'm not sure. You are all so incredibly talented behind the wheel, and it's basically, when you're picking drivers at FFS Racing, it's basically just picking what bullet's going to kill you is what it's come to. You've got such an extraordinary talent pool over there, and to hear that you all get along, and it's all just it seems like it's just sort of a bunch of mates going for a bit of a weekend drive around a racetrack is what it sounds like. But that's the worst part. That doesn't give. Okay, we don't.
I don't think worst time in real life, but
but the thing is like it's just unfair. You're unfair, Mike.
It's your fault, Mike.
I mean,
Mike.
George Smith has used the words "disgusting" once to describe Mike.
He did.
In the best sense possible. He said you're disgustingly quick, and I mean, to me, it is amazing to hear that you're like, oh yeah, let's just go for a drive at any random championship, and Mike Noble will show up and he'll just go, you know what, I fancy winning this race tonight. And he kind of just does that sometimes, and it's incredible. It's incredible to see. And obviously, I know you guys do take some of the races seriously, or at least I hope my perception that you do take some of the races seriously isn't completely broken. But I mean, you guys are going to be in separate teams for our next big endurance event, the 12 Hours of Bathurst, coming up next weekend. From what I understand, Mike, you're in Hazardous Overlap. Is that the name of the team? That's the name of the team.
I think that's
being run?
correct. Yes.
Yeah.
And
I'm trying to imitate some streamers, but I'm not sure yet.
So Mike, sorry, Gergo. Mike, do you have an abomination for us to look at next week?
Maybe not.
Okay. Sorry, Gergo. Please go on.
No, it's just next week is because I'm going back to the original Kunos Racing team, so that's the separation. It was Kevin actually woke up. Kevin, one night out of nowhere, after months of silence, Kevin finally hit me up on Discord and asked what's the next event, and that comes.
Did he
like
just reactivate?
Yeah, he just reactivated his urge to do racing, and he just woke up.
Found the power cord.
I don't think he woke up, he was actually up, but he just had a moment of realization that he wants to do some racing, so he wrote in the team channel, okay guys, what's the next event? And the previous message was from 4 months ago, or from 4 months earlier. So we figured we do that race like the old team, and then the guys, well, it's like a four driver limit, so it works out well because the entire FFS racing team is now in the overlap. In the overlap car, and then me, I'm joining Kevin and Aris and Alfredo.
Well, am I correct? I might be wrong, but am I correct in my assumption that the last time you guys raced as a team, the Kunos team in RCI, was at the Bathurst 12 Hour, wasn't it? Last year?
I think it was one of the. We did 2 races at Bathurst. One was a 3-hour race, and then one was a 12-hour race, and we raced the V12 both times. So probably it was that. We also did a race at Barcelona. I think it was 6 hours. Barcelona, but okay, and then it's probably that Bathurst race. That was the last one.
So I have to ask, considering you are teammates, but you won't technically be for the 12-hour. Will there be any sort of team orders as Chumley attempts to overtake or gets overtaken, and indeed does? Everybody filters out through. Chumley down 2 spots. Bart Macha and Ishmael Lebrec both get through in the S's. You don't see that move very often, but there you have it. Samuel Chumley down back to 15th. Bart Macha up to 13th. Lebrec into the 14th position for the Triple R Triple 3. But what I was saying was, considering you usually are teammates, will there be sort of any friendly wagers, but also perhaps team orders in the race?
I'm gonna flash him a lot, I think.
Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of flashing, and I think we're gonna
What sort of flashing?
Well,
we'll see about that.
Only if you give your only fans page, then maybe I would like to respond.
Oh dear.
This stream is about to get unlisted, and
yes, yes, you're about to ruin it.
We have done nothing but imply. Implication is completely fine on YouTube, but well, gentlemen, I gotta say, you're what we would say in the States, you're bad fast, and that is the highest praise we could possibly give for the 1, 2, 3. It's an absolute pleasure to have you guys here at RCI, as it always is, and it's a pleasure to get to commentate over races that you guys are in. It's always very interesting, and the performance of the 1, 2, 3 in general is absolutely fantastic. And we look forward to seeing what you guys can do next weekend on your respective teams.
We are also looking forward as well, and thank you for the kind words. And
Yeah,
we
thank you. That's it.
appreciate you guys for being here and organizing this, all that stuff.
Same from me. I've done absolutely nothing to contribute to the team today, but I had 2 beers, so that was my contribution. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, you aren't even driving today. What are you doing here?
No, I don't know. Mike told me to come here. I just came.
Oh, geez. Well, folks, FFS Racing's Mike Noble and the team manager, Gergo Panker, they'll be with us next Sunday for the Jardier and Jimmy Broadbent present the 12 hours of Bathurst here on RCI TV, but they will be racing for separate teams. But you heard just then what you can expect. Mike Noble, Gergo, thank you very much for being here. As always a treat.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much.
You know,
Final 10 minutes of the race upcoming here, 9:30 nearly in the morning at Bathurst, and we've almost completed an endurance race, but it's going to be contact here between Matcha and Lebrec, and that is going to allow Chumley back through the Chum train, getting it done. Is he going to get all the way back to 13th place? I think he is. Heavy contact with Bart Matcha, but the position gained again, and Chumley goes from 15th to 13. Choo-choo indeed.
well, this battle definitely not settled on track at this point in time. There's history between the 333 and the 404 cars on track, and, well, there's some added history to that now as Ismail Lebrec does slot in front of Bart Matcher, and, well, Samuel Chumley
I don't think we're done here.
continues onwards. I was going to say, just after that interview, Jesse, I have a rather embarrassing thing to admit about Gergo, is that in the original first draft of the race program for the Silverstone race, I believe only Gergo caught it, as far as I'm aware. But there was definitely a typo in his name in the original race program.
Was it Grego?
No. I instead of putting his surname, I put his Discord username in there instead. So on the original draft of the first race program, he was called Gergo Panky Kappas in the race program.
It could be that could be a name, though.
I mean, I'm not an expert on Hungarian names, so but you know, Gergo and Mike
like
Noble, they've been around. Yeah, they've been around RCI pretty much since it started.
Absolutely.
And they raced back in RLM as well, and you know, like you said, they love racing. They put together FFS Racing kind of as a bit of a meme. But you know, when you put loads of really quick people together, you're gonna start winning stuff eventually, even if you do treat things, you know, as a bit of fun in games. And well, in the words of George Smith, disgusting. And
I love
I'm gonna
the way
keep,
he put that.
I'm gonna keep that one alive for as long as I can. Drive-through penalty for track limits, I believe, just being administered out to the number 34 Lamborghini. Their day goes from bad to worse. Quite a few people coming out with drive-through penalties for track limits. We saw the number 38 earlier on of Van Ommen for the Dorking community team. They picked up their second drive-through for track limits this race, and that's the reason they're at the back of the grid at this stage. Just under 7 minutes to go, Jesse. And it is still the PCVC McLaren that leads out in front in phenomenal style. The 126 in second place. And of course, the guys we were just talking to earlier, their Lexus in third place at this point in time.
Well, to finish up with the FFS Racing team, they may have started out as a meme, but as they say, don't let your memes be dreams. And their dreams very much reality as they realize that, as Swederick here trying to gain this position and does on the 34 Lamborghini. Pass, fair move, well done to the 23 team, getting it done late in this race. And just a couple of other things. We haven't really talked about penalties much Well, that's because there's only been a couple of them in the past hour, so it's been fairly clean running. There was a 15-second penalty for the 199, but that was served on the previous penalty. A 5-second penalty for the 84, and a warning for the 247 for avoidable contact with the 84. And that's all that's happened. Actually, I take it back. Those penalties are still up, so that happened after the pit stop. But all those penalties, well, that's all that's happened in the past hour or so, as we see the 34 duck into pit road to serve a drive-through penalty that he just picked up. And like you said, Slizik in the 107 Bentley, he has received a track limits penalty. It would be devastating to get one of those right now, no matter who you are. And for your leading car, the number 12 PCDC Motorsports entry, Till Vornum, doing a great job legging out the field. That car started by Vincent Erbich and then Marcus Lawrence doing a fantastic job. And what a win it will be, a day that will almost certainly see them take the championship lead at the halfway point in the World Cup season. But don't forget Orion Racing's 126 and the job that they've done. Adam Tompkins going to bring that car to the line, but Berrezzini started it. Egger continued his strong run, and what a day for them. They needed a good run like this, and they are going to be rewarded with it. And we just talked to FFS Racing, and they are over the moon with a podium position here, just loving life. And give a call, Samuel Ratz in the Racing Line 191. They have literally driven through this field. Unfortunately, it looks like they're going to finish one step off the podium, but that'll be of very little consequence to them after a fantastic race. I don't remember where they started, but it was outside the top 15, I'm pretty sure. Like, it was down there, or at some point they were outside the top 15. And of course, in 5th place, our first silver drivers, MSVR, we talked to them as well. Simon Keeble on board that car in the 962. And just to keep you updated on silver, Woolmouth in the Excel Racing by Renwelton, number 16 silver team, looking like they're going to finish second in silver. And GC Racing number 1 in the 411, Martin Schumacher behind the wheel of that car. Looks like they will secure the final spot in the podium for silver. Ryan, as we tick down the final seconds, final thoughts on the 3 hours of Donington.
Well, it's had plenty, hasn't it? It's had some great interviews, some great action. We've had drama on the circuit. We've had George Smith back in the box. I mean, we couldn't really ask for much more, could we? At this point for the 3 hours of Donington. And of course, this will be this is the 2 shortest races of the World Tour, done and dusted. They're longer from here. Of course, we'll be having Monza next up on the calendar, then Paul Ricard and Suzuka. Some exciting races to come. We'll also have the 12 hours of Bathurst coming up in just about a week's time as well. But this race has been great. It's been so awesome to see Donington Park finally out in ACC and finally out here for one of our big events. We've really, well, I've been looking forward to this event. I know you've been looking forward to this event as well, and I think a lot of the drivers out here have probably enjoyed themselves as well. But 2 minutes remain as we see Bart Matcher and Akos Getvan going side by side. Of course, this isn't for position in class, this is just overall position. And Bart's not too keen to let this one go. He said, you know what, you're going to have to earn this one. And I can respect that.
Yeah, Bart's not a driver that's ever just going to let you go by necessarily. If it's for a position, he's going to race you. He's not going to fight you, if you're on a different lap, obviously. He's very intelligent, but it doesn't matter if you're in this class or not. If it's for a position, he is going to race you, and fair contest there. And, well, unfortunately, Macha's going to lose out in the Connection Loss Racing 414, which is still one of the most humorous names I have ever heard. I'm actually really looking forward to this week's Diamond Drive Cup on Wednesday afternoon. Hope you guys can join us then, because there's a team that they've been changing their name every week. They started out as Cupcake Racing, and their car is painted up like, as you would expect, a cupcake. Well, they've been smashed into a bit, and they were called Smash Cupcake Racing at Imola last week, and they were absolutely destroyed in that race. So now I'm very curious what their name's going to be, and Connection Lost Racing always reminds me of that, the very humorous name, the humorous side of sim racing. We're all here for fun, of course, but story of the day, the PCDC boys on a week where they could potentially do a lot of damage in the World Cup Championship. They are one lap away. Will they get to the line for another lap? I'm not sure. They
don't believe so. No, they won't. They're definitely not
so
going to.
Yes.
So this is the final lap. 10 seconds then, and it's been a phenomenal drive from the PCDC Motorsports McLaren. It's going to be 2 wins this season for this car. They won the opener at Silverstone. They're going to win both of the British circuits on the calendar for the World Tour. Till Vornum crosses the line, and it's 2 for 2 in British circuits for McLaren. Victory on home soil. And PCDC, a well-deserved win. The Dorking Community Team car taking them out in the gravel trap at turn 1. But a fantastic race driven by them. Took pole position in style by 9 thousandths of a second. And have just dominated this race from start to finish. Adam Tompkins brings home the 126 Bentley in second place. And it looks like Andre Franke is also going to bring home the FFS Racing Lexus in third place. It's going to be a podium for the 1, 2, 3, and a fantastic race at Donington Park comes to a conclusion.
Yes, indeed. Results being confirmed as everybody crosses the line for the final time. The conclusion of the RCI 3 hours of Donington. PCDC Motorsports are the winners of the day. They have done it in the British rounds in a British car. A lot of British and Union Jack pride floating around the circuit here. Till Vornum gets to take the celebratory trip to the gravel. Ryan Race Team second, FFS Racing third, and then behind them Racing Line Motorsports in the 191 comes home fourth. Your winner in silver again, MSVR in the 962. Sidemax Motorworks 96 come home sixth. The Jardier Community Team with a mega rebound after being down in 15th. They rebound all the way to 7th. Actually, that's just changed around for me a little bit. But of course, what a fantastic day it was. And here we are, fresh out of the race car. We are joined by your winners. PCDC Motorsport win again. Congratulations, guys.
Hello, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Well, from our perspective, it did not look like it was that difficult out there for you today. Tell us how your race was.
It definitely was difficult, for sure. But yeah, I think qualifying was so important on this track. You can't overtake. I remember like seeing on the stream there's been a few incidents into the chicane and stuff. So yeah, and Vincent did an absolutely mega stint in the first. I wasn't happy with my stint at all.
No, it was fine.
Yeah,
it was good enough.
Yeah, I kept it on track, so that's the main thing. But yeah, I see it as the Bentley. Vincent gave me the car with a gap, and the Bentley caught us. So yeah, but yeah, I overall really happy, and obviously Till brought it home, and the 30-second gap in the end. So yeah, really good.
Of course, we're joined by the winning team, PCDC Motorsport, Marcus Lawrence, Till Vornum, and Vincent Airbridge here in Victory Lane. You guys said it was ultimately important for qualifying. You were the last car to get a qualifying lap in. The session had expired more than a minute before you crossed the line. You were the last car on the road, and you get it done by one of the tiniest margins we've ever seen. You said that was ultimately important, but you handled the race. completely perfectly. You had a very clean race. Did anything not go your way today?
Yes. In my first stint, I slightly punctured my rear left tire, and the pace was kind of slow at the end of the stint because of that, and couldn't quite pull on Barzini behind. And then in the second stint, we slightly overpressured Marcus, and he was kind of not on his best pace because of that.
Well, there is a championship on the line here. We're halfway through the season, 3 more rounds to go. This was, of course, the shortest round. They're only going to get more difficult from here, but you've put yourselves as a team in contention, if not the championship lead. You've at least gotten yourself incredibly close. I'm not sure which side of it you're going to be on. I think you actually might be 8 points ahead, but that's very quick math. That is bad. But where do you go from here, knowing that not only are you back in this thing, you might be the ones controlling the pace? How do you go on from here?
Well, Monza's gonna be insane because it's the home track of Ciclari, and he knows how to set up the Ferrari for that track very well, and they are gonna be insanely quick probably. So it will be quite a challenge, and I'm very much looking forward to that. And yeah, also I want to congratulate, I don't even know their team name, but Barzini and Egger, and their third driver, I don't remember his name, but they really extracted everything from the Bentley, so good job on them.
And also a quick shout out to our other PCDC team in the pro split. They also won.
Oh, nice.
There you go.
So yeah, we won the invite and the pro split.
Yeah, we won.
Double win.
We actually have a win in all 3 splits now because that team also won in AM before it got moved up. So nice.
All right. Well, my final question: what makes PCDC so competitive and so good?
Vincent's qualifying.
and his setups, probably.
I wouldn't tell, to be honest. I guess we have a tiny bit of experience. We know how to set up the car well. Yeah. I don't know what to say, honestly. I don't know.
Practice.
Yeah, practice. And having a good environment with the team, helping environment.
Well, I mean, you guys obviously won the first round at Silverstone. It was quite the workout for you guys, obviously, that we saw, and Kyalami didn't quite deliver with the race that maybe we would have hoped for. But you've come back here to Donington Park with a bang, and of course, driving the McLaren, you've taken the win at both British circuits for this season in a British car. So bringing home the manufacturer pride. And I mean, I guess the one question I have for you guys, obviously, you did very well at Silverstone. You did very well here today. I mean, what are the circuits? You said that you're expecting Ciclari to be very, very quick in the Ferrari at Monza. But I mean, what other circuits on the calendar with Paul Ricard and Suzuka? Are you expecting? Are you expecting or hoping that you can challenge for a win at any of those other circuits?
Yeah, I'm not sure about the pace of the McLaren at Paul Ricard, but at Suzuka, it's good enough to win. So yeah, looking forward to all 3 next rounds. To be honest, I think we have a good chance for good points in all 3.
Well, awesome to hear. And that is PCDC Motorsports, the number 12 McLaren. They are your winners for the Invitational Pro 3 hours of Donington for round 3 of the World Tour. And of course, they're looking forward to the next race in just under a month's time. On the 17th of April, we'll be heading out to Monza in Italy. And of course, we'll be looking forward to see if they can continue their championship efforts alongside the efforts of the 191 Racing Line Motorsport car.
Thank you so much, guys.
Yep, thank you.
So, if you've enjoyed the racing here this weekend, on this lovely Saturday evening, we have more racing coming up for you. Nothing going on Sunday at this point in time, but we do have racing coming up on Monday, round 5 of the British GT Championship. It continues at Snetterton to 30-minute sprint races, and we'll be looking forward to see if Milton Steele-Vassen can close the gap to George Boothby at the top of the table. No racing on Tuesday as per usual. It's our break day, but then we come back on Wednesday for the Diamond Drive Cup. We're at Barcelona for round 4 of that championship. The Thursday championship for GT4 concludes at Laguna Seca. No live stream for that one, unfortunately. And then on Friday, well, we're going to be right back here at Donington Park for 2 30-minute sprint races. I'll have Jesse Lee in the box alongside me. And then, of course, Night Owl returns as well. And I believe Night Owl is going to be out at Alton Park for round 4 of the championship. Then that's going to be on next Saturday, of course. And, well, on the Sunday, in just over a week's time, it will be the 12 Hours of Bathurst, brought to you by Jimmy Broadbent and Jardier. Multi-class racing going out in the Invitational split, which will be live stewarded and live streamed. And of course, we'll look forward to seeing all of you guys out there in just over a week's time. Big thank you to Race Department, AK Informatica, Raceface Speed Labs, and Sim Racing GP that help make everything here at Racing Club International possible. Big thank you to all the drivers competing out here today. And of course, a big thank you to our stewards who have done a great job as usual, handing out penalties as such. They don't really get to enjoy the races too much, but we appreciate the work that they do. And a big thank you to everyone else out here. Feel free to like and subscribe on the stream if you think we've done a good job. And of course, we look forward to seeing you guys back on Monday. So thank you very much for joining, and enjoy the rest of your weekend.